Chapter 2366. Defeat. Moon Demon Sword. Fei Qing was actually defeated by Lin Feng. In the top-notch intelligent cabin, every member of the Time Virtual Company was dumbstruck and in disbelief. In their opinion, this was supposed to be an evenly matched battle, but they never expected that the Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing would be suppressed by Lin Feng right from the start, resulting in a crushing defeat. The battle that had attracted a lot of attention ended just like that. The entire top-notch intelligent cabin was silent. Even the team members who were confident in Lin Feng were stupefied. They never expected that Lin Feng would win so cleanly. If not for the Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing's life-saving treasure and death doll, they might not even be able to escape. It can't be, right? Cheng Weigua stared at the figure on the screen and was speechless for a long time. He clearly looked at Lin Feng's information and carefully analyzed it with his professional eyes. He even used his top-notch intelligence to make a prediction. The conclusion he came to was that although Lin Feng had potential, he was barely a rank 1 rookie. But now, this rookie who was barely a rank 1 genius had beaten the super genius they were determined to get, Fei Qing. Furthermore, the two of them were not on the same level. Impossible! How can he not be affected by the terrain? This is the Luoshi secret realm. Could it be that other than the space bloodline, he also has the time bloodline? Cheng Weigua frowned and shook his head, but I have never seen him use any time-type treasure. Other than that, there is no other explanation. There is a huge difference between having the terrain advantage and not having it. Cheng Weigua's previous evaluation of Lin Feng was that if they were in the same terrain and position, their battle strength should be equal. Maybe Lin Feng would have a slight advantage, but in the Luoshi secret realm, there was no doubt that the Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing was stronger. But now it was an overwhelming victory. Another wrong judgment. Cheng Weigua sighed inwardly. Looking at the figure on the light screen, he became more and more confused. There were all kinds of mysteries in his mind. This human youth who came out of nowhere had completely subverted his understanding. So, he hadn't exerted his full strength in the Luoshi secret realm. In terms of combat power, even if I don't have the geographical advantage, I can probably defeat Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing. Whoosh! Cheng Weigua stood up. His eyes shone brightly as he strode forward. There was no need to hesitate anymore. It was time to raise Lin Feng's evaluation from special grade genius to special grade genius. Such a talent couldn't be missed. Although Lin Feng wasn't as good as Sikong Wushuang, he was definitely a talent that the Time Virtual Company would spend a lot of money to cultivate. His priority is second only to Sikong Wushuang. Cheng Weigua stepped into the top-grade intelligent cabin. His gaze swept across the staff members and finally landed on Team 1. With a serious expression, he said, "Recruit Lin Feng. Use all means and power to agree to any of his requests. My Time Virtual Company must recruit him at all costs." As the person in charge of the fifth Time Virtual Realm, Cheng Weigua wouldn't act on impulse. If he was wrong, then he was wrong. He only hoped that it wasn't too late to mend the pen after the sheep were lost. "Yes, boss." The leader of Team 1, He Quan, replied. Luoshi secret realm. Lin Feng stood at the peak of a mountain and looked at the rolling sea of clouds in the distance. The figure of Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing was long gone. Lin Feng smiled and immediately felt relieved. It was too difficult to kill such an expert. Even if he had the right time, place, and people, he might not succeed. His ability to survive was too strong. My falling mountain crumble is finally complete. Lin Feng held the war saber calamity in his hand and felt a touch from his heart. After the second layer of carvings was unlocked, he could finally truly control it. The connection between the heart and the war saber wasn't something that could be done overnight. War sabers had a spirit, especially the higher the grade of the war saber, the stronger the spirit. Just like the war saber Black Scorpion from before, it was because of the perfect compatibility between the two that it could display a power that far exceeded the war saber itself. Although the war saber calamity couldn't be compared to Black Scorpion, it had already entered a new level. One step to success, one step to success. The fourth move of the Milky Way saber art, Falling Mountain Crumble, was finally created after countless battles and was close to perfection. Although it wasn't at its maximum power and effect, defeating the Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing was already a piece of cake. Saber against saber, the most direct collision. The one with the stronger saber art had the absolute advantage. Seclusion, comprehension. Next challenge. Lin Feng was very satisfied. He was satisfied with the speed of his current combat strength improvement and the strength of the experts in the Luo Time Secret Realm. Only a sharp collision with an opponent could force out his full potential. Constantly comprehending, after a long battle, Lin Feng's strength had undergone a complete transformation. The improvement from the second level of light and darkness to the third level of light and darkness was also actively sublimating. Compared to the confusion in the past, it was as if a bright light had been turned on, illuminating the path ahead. The second move of the Annihilation 3 Absolutes, Annihilation, was comprehended to perfection. The fourth move of the Milky Way Saber Art, Falling Mountain Crumble, was 100% perfect. The middle-grade Heavenly Tao Cardinal Treasure, Bermuda Triangle, was comprehended in all three stages. The second layer of carvings of the War Saber Calamity was unlocked. Although he didn't have a high-grade Heavenly Tao Cardinal Treasure, Lin Feng already had a rock-solid strength with the help of the perfect chaotic body and his powerful soul. In just a short 10,000 years, he had established a reputation in the Luo Time Secret Realm. On the other side, the experts of the Bright Sky Secret Realm were overjoyed as they sent off this fiend. On the other side, everyone in the Luo Time Secret Realm was in danger, afraid that they would become the next prey. Therefore, the strongest person here is Xikong Wushuang. Lin Feng looked at the middle-grade expert trembling in front of him. Yes, brother. The bald man who was bigger than Lin Feng lowered his head and bowed. The corner of his mouth twitched as he smiled at Lin Feng. His legs were trembling. The person in front of him was one of the most terrifying fiends in the Luo Time Secret Realm, the Calamity Saber Monarch. He had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to encounter this fiend. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. The only special class genius, huh? Lin Feng smiled. His eyes were filled with sparks and challenge. He looked at the muscular bald man and asked, "Do you know where he usually appears?" Yes. It's not far ahead." The bald man hurriedly replied in fear. "After traveling at light speed for about 3 years in this direction, you will see a crack in time disorder. That is a unique and dangerous place in the depths of the Luo Time Secret Realm, where the time energy is the most orderly." Okay. Lin Feng nodded. He didn't look at the trembling bald man. His figure flashed as he sped away. Huh! The bald man staggered and sat on the ground. He looked at the direction Lin Feng left in and let out a long breath after a long time. His face was dispirited and full of vicissitudes. They are both middle-grade experts, but why is the difference so big? The bald man pressed his chest and closed his eyes. Chapter 2367. Time Virtual Company, Top-Class Intelligent Cabin. Wow, look, Lin Feng is heading towards Xikong Wushuang. F***CK. Is he crazy? That's the next successor of the Xikong family. Well, lunatic. Xikong Wushuang didn't even provoke him, but he went to him himself. Even advanced title rankers have to hide when they see Xikong Wushuang. I think he's overestimating himself. He thinks he's invincible just because he killed Li Kongxiu and defeated the Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing. Xikong Wushuang, Li Kongxiu, and the Moon Demon Sword Fei Qing aren't on the same level. He'll suffer when the time comes. I heard that Xikong Wushuang has already become an intermediate heavenly god. His battle power has reached the peak of upper heavenly god. Let's see how he'll die this time. Even the group of people who had always held high hopes for Lin Feng were also extremely worried. To the members of Group 1, Lin Feng was like their child. They had watched him grow up step by step, and now he was about to face Xikong Wushuang, who was worthy of being called the emperor among the intermediate standard experts. How could they not be worried? In a battle between rankers, one would definitely be injured. Moreover, Xikong Wushuang's reputation was like thunder. His strength was obvious to all. With Lin Feng's personality, he'll definitely fight to the death. Sigh. I just hope he won't be too stubborn. Actually, he still has a lot of time. Sikong Wushuang will soon advance and leave. Why bother? It's okay. Lin Feng can still use his Phantom Countercurrent I one more time. Plus, Death Doll is here. Even if he loses, he'll be able to keep his life. F***CK. What are you talking about? You're talking as if Lin Feng will definitely lose. What if he wins? Anything can happen in a battle. Previously in the Bright Sky Secret Realm, no one thought highly of him, but Lin Feng still won one battle after another. He can always create miracles. It's different this time. The difference in strength is a bit big. I think so too. Team 1's leader, He Quan, didn't say anything and just stared at the screen. His sloppy appearance from before was nowhere to be seen. His expression was serious, his right hand clenched into a fist and pressed against his lips. As he watched Lin Feng slowly approach Sikong Wushuang, he could faintly feel Lin Feng's high fighting spirit. This was a kind of spirit, a kind of unyielding and challenging conviction to strive for first place. Good luck, He Quan said to himself. 7th Mercenary Alliance, 5th-time Virtual Realm Monitoring Room. What do you think, Old Lee? Chief Judge Wong stared at the screen intently. Neither is willing to give an inch, haha. Chief Judge Lee rubbed his nose and laughed heartily. The duel between two super geniuses is very interesting. Regardless of who wins or loses, it's worth watching. Chief Judge Wong looked at him with admiration. Although his strength is inferior, his courage is commendable. Daring to challenge is the belief and spirit of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. I like this guy. Chief Judge Lee nodded in satisfaction. That's right. This kid is even more comfortable than Sikong Wushuang. He's a clear, unpolished gem. Chief Judge Wong smiled. Speaking of which, his current strength is still slightly inferior to Sikong Wushuang's. Chief Judge Lee said, it's not his fault. Sikong Wushuang's aptitude and talent are top-notch. He was originally a super genius. It just so happened that he broke through to become a mid-level divine lord during this survival challenge. His combat power has greatly increased. Otherwise, his combat power would only be on par with Lin Feng, Chief Judge Wong said. Moreover, Lin Feng still has tens of thousands of years to cultivate. If we take these into account, Lin Feng's potential is actually higher. Chief Judge Lee said, data is the most important thing. Our estimation is only a small part of it. The Venerables look at the most straightforward data. It's clear who is stronger and who is weaker after a battle. Chief Judge Wong nodded. Regardless of who wins or loses, our 7th Mercenary Alliance is determined to get Lin Feng. We can't lose such a super genius to the Time Virtual Company. Chief Judge Lee nodded vigorously. Luoshi Secret Realm. Lin Feng went straight to the Luoshi Secret Realm. The Luoshi Secret Realm hid endless time, energy, and powerful laws. It was the place where the super genius, Sikong Wushuang, cultivated in seclusion. Unlike Lin Feng, Sikong Wushuang came from a prestigious family and was the next successor of the Sikong family. Power and wealth were limitless. He didn't need to waste time fighting other experts, and there was no need for that. Sikong Wushuang's strength was already unparalleled. He only needed to complete the mission and then use the unique regional characteristics of the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge to cultivate and improve himself. Father said that there are secrets in the depths of every secret realm. It's left behind by the two big shots. The fated one will obtain it. What is the secret of the Luoshi Secret Realm? The universe's heavenly Tao? A top-notch secret technique? Or a supreme treasure? An inheritance opportunity? With my Sikong family's bloodline and my aptitude, can I trigger it? Sikong Wushuang floated in the long crack. The surrounding time energy was like notes twining around him. With the time law as the score, it played a beautiful melody. The huge crack was like an open eye. The time energy here was much more profound than the other regions of the Luoshi Secret Realm. Sikong Wushuang had cultivated here for 90,000 years, but he didn't gain anything. Fortunately, the abundant time energy allowed Sikong Wushuang to improve further. He broke through the current bottleneck and became a mid-level divine lord. His strength naturally increased by a whole level. I will leave in 2,000 years. Could it be that the Luoshi Secret Realm's opportunities are really not fated with me? Damn it. Clenching his fists, Sikong Wushuang was still a little unwilling. Although he knew that most of the super geniuses were like him and couldn't adapt to the opportunities here, he always felt that he was an exception, a special one. After 100,000 years, he would advance to a high-grade standard title. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to enter the 7 ordinary secret realms. At this moment, Sikong Wushuang frowned slightly. The surrounding time energy quickly condensed. He looked into the distance and felt an aura coming. A mid-level heaven god. Sikong Wushuang was a little puzzled. The newcomer's strength was so low that it was a little unbelievable. Those who could come to the depths of the Luoshi secret realm were at least the cream of the crop among the mid-level standard participants. Even if a mid-level heaven god's bloodline talent was good, how strong could he be? Interesting. Sikong Wushuang's eyes shone brightly. The aura he released didn't scare the other party away. Instead, it got closer. It seemed that the other party came prepared and came for him. Swish! Whoosh! 2 figures floated in the air and landed in front of the huge crack. Dense time energy enveloped the entire region. Lin Feng and Sikong Wushuang looked at each other, and their battle intent soared rapidly. Clang! There was no need for words. They directly fought. Chapter 2368. Chi. As soon as Lin Feng came up, Calamity activated the second layer of carvings and unleashed his full strength. Sikong Wushuang's name was already extremely resounding in the Luoshi secret realm, a special genius that 2 big shots are fighting over. Lin Feng's battle intent was burning. He was thinking about what to do. The Milky Way blade technique slashed across the sky and unleashed the third move, massacre overflowing the heavens. In terms of status, there was a huge difference between him and Sikong Wushuang. He was only a grade 1 genius recognized by the Time Virtual Company. However, who was stronger and who was weaker, he would only know after fighting. Very strong. Sikong Wushuang instantly stopped underestimating him. This intermediate heavenly deity in front of him had unimaginable combat strength. The sword in his hand drew an arc and formed a time wheel to protect him. Bang! A terrifying, killing aura spread out. The time wheel shattered a few times, but it was restored to its original state. Sikong Wushuang's eyes flashed, and a dark light suddenly appeared on his left wrist. It was like an arrow in his sleeve that shot out at a strange but fast speed. The laws of time seemed to have retreated and stopped. At this moment, it seemed to have frozen. All the energy surged and condensed on the sleeve arrow. Its power was increasing crazily every moment. However, at this moment, BZZ, huge spiral triangles appeared and condensed in the void. There were so many of them that the strange sleeve arrow had nowhere to hide. When it collided with the spiral triangles, an ear-piercing sound of metal grinding could be heard. Bang, bang, bang. The power of the sleeve arrow was exhausted. However, the power of the spiral triangles seemed to be endless. In an instant, they condensed again and shot towards Sikong Wushuang like meteorites. Bermuda Triangle, ultimate ability, triangle destruction. A total of 100 triangles formed a huge triangle. Not only did the Bermuda Triangle have the ability to attack, but its defensive ability was also not bad after it was fully developed. The material was very special and was even better than a high-grade Heavenly Law treasure. However, the Heavenly Law energy inscribed on it was not that strong. Although Sikong Wushuang's Shadow Time Sleeve Arrow was a high-grade Heavenly Law treasure, in this kind of close-range collision, Lin Feng had the endless energy of the Black Vortex as a shield. It was impossible to break through. All right, Sikong Wushuang smiled. His body trembled slightly, and time seemed to slow down. The Great Triangle Destruction pierced through Sikong Wushuang's afterimage and exploded into the distance. At this moment, Sikong Wushuang's real body appeared where he was standing. The blue sword in his hand was shining with a dazzling blue light as it pierced towards Lin Feng's heart. Bam! Lin Feng took the attack head-on. The glow of the blackened heart battlesuit dimmed. indicating that it was seriously damaged. The two silhouettes instantly separated. One for defense, one for attack. Everything was done in the blink of an eye. Sikon Wushuang's strength made people gasp in amazement. Amazing! What is this move of Sikon Wushuang's? It's too awesome, isn't it? It perfectly dodged the killing move of a mid-level Heavenly Way supreme treasure. Strange. Doesn't Lin Feng have soul attacks? That was clearly the best opportunity. As long as Sikon Wushuang failed to block it, Lin Feng could have instantly killed him off. In the top-grade intelligent cabin, in the fifth-time virtual realm control room, a group of staff members were watching this once-in-a-lifetime battle. As soon as the battle began, the intensity of the battle was breathtaking. Because that is Sikon Wushuang's clone. He Quan, the leader of Team 1, said, "At first glance, it seems that Sikon Wushuang not only dodged Lin Feng's attack perfectly, but also managed to kill him off. But in fact, this is just an illusion. Sikon Wushuang's original body only delayed the time breakpoint and retreated to dodge the attack. He can't really ignore Lin Feng's attack. His clone appeared the moment his original body retreated and then counterattacked instantly, which shocked the enemy greatly. Everyone was enlightened. Even they were kept in the dark about this level of battle. So, team leader, did Lin Feng see that it was a clone, so he didn't use a soul attack?" A member of Team 1 asked. "I don't know about that." He Quan stared at the screen. If Lin Feng could make such a clear judgment in such a short time, then his battle intuition and experience would be terrifying. I'm afraid that even I might not be able to do that. Everyone held their breaths and looked serious. If team leader couldn't do it, then they naturally couldn't do it either. The battle was constantly changing. So how could they have time to distinguish between these things? It's probably a wild guess. How could he possibly distinguish it? The battle just started, and everyone was testing each other. They wouldn't use their killing moves so quickly. If Lin Feng wants to win, his only chance is to use a soul attack. But he only has one chance. Once he fails, he will be finished. I think so too. Lin Feng will definitely choose the best time to attack, and not now. But he is definitely not Sikon Wushuang's opponent. Sikon Wushuang has a soul defense treasure and is very cautious. What happened just now was probably just a test. A special class genius is indeed a special class genius. A level 1 genius can't be compared to him. Yeah, if Lin Feng used a soul attack just now, he would have been finished. He is really lucky. Lucky? Lin Feng didn't know that the battle between him and Sikon Wushuang had become so eye-catching. Sikon Wushuang's attack from before had indeed exceeded his expectations. Firstly, it was just as everyone had said. The battle had just begun, and he hadn't figured out his opponent's ability, so it was impossible for him to directly execute his strongest move. Secondly, he'd similarly sensed that this wasn't Sikon Wushuang's main body. 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone. Not only was it a treasure for nurturing souls, but it was also the strongest soul defense treasure and soul perception treasure. Even if he was only a middle heavenly god, in terms of perception, there were few below the venerable realm who could surpass him. Boom! Lin Feng activated the 5th gear of the magic wrist. His left hand was covered in a thick layer of demonic qi. His 5 fingers connected as he activated the divine light and darkness pattern bloodline with his perfect nightmare power. He entered full combat mode. Just now, it was just a test. Sikon Wushuang didn't use his full strength, but he also didn't use his full strength. But his opponent's strength still left a deep impression on him. Even the Black Heart battle armor, a medium heavenly law treasure, was severely damaged. In terms of results, he was indeed at a disadvantage. But wasn't this normal? Sikon Wushuang in front of him was the strongest medium heavenly law treasure. 10-star alignment, illusory sky. A picture scroll as long as a piece of cloth was thrown out. It was clear and transparent, like the starry sky of the universe. 10-star alignment was only a primary heavenly law treasure. Lin Feng had only cultivated it to the 2nd level, but it was enough. The 3rd level attack was not as good as the Milky Way saber technique. On the other hand, the 2nd level attack ability, Illusory Sky, was a type of illusion attack. In terms of power, it might not be that strong, but it was extraordinary when supplemented by his soul strength. Main attack. At the same time that Lin Feng used the 10-star pearls illusion, the saber calamity also burst out. The second calamity of his ancestors' light and darkness secret art, the three calamities of annihilation, was unleashed, turning into endless saber light. The fourth move of the Milky Way saber technique, falling mountain collapse. The strongest attack, activated. Chapter 2369. Good saber technique. Sikong Wushuang said, with a serious expression. Since he was from the Sikong clan, his knowledge was naturally much wider than Lin Feng's. He could sense that this was a completely self-created saber technique, as only a self-created saber technique could reach 120% of the Great Perfection's power. Even he himself was unable to create a sword technique that was so compatible with it. He admitted that he wasn't as good as his opponent in this aspect. But it doesn't mean that my sword technique is weaker than yours. Sikong Wushuang's sword was like a rainbow, shining brightly. Time was sometimes fast and sometimes slow under the blue light. It was hard to predict. Sikong Wushuang's level was slightly higher than Lin Feng's. Creativity didn't mean real attack power, just like potential didn't mean combat power. Sikong Wushuang hadn't created such a saber technique. However, he had the inheritance of the Sikong clan and various top-notch sword technique teachers to teach him. Even if he couldn't use 120% of the power, 100% was enough. Break. Sikong Wushuang's eyes were like swords, full of confidence. It wasn't that he didn't know how to create a sword technique. It was just that there was no need for him to do so at this stage. Clang. Slash. The sword light suppressed the saber light. Sikong Wushuang was unstoppable. 7th Mercenary Alliance. 5th time Emptiness Realm Monitoring Room. Ah, he's at a disadvantage. Chief Judge Wang shook his head. Isn't this normal? Do you think this little guy can defeat Sikong Wushuang? Chief Judge Li laughed. I still have some hope, Chief Judge Wang said. Chief Judge Li shook his head. It's normal for Lin Feng to lose to Sikong Wushuang at this stage. One comes from a humble background, while the other comes from a prestigious clan. They have different starting points and paths of growth. However, this is only temporary at this stage. In terms of future development, I am more optimistic about Lin Feng. Who cares about the future? Wow, Lin Feng used a soul attack. Chief Judge Wang shouted. Sai, it was blocked. Chief Judge Li said regretfully, Sikong Wushuang has too many treasures. His soul defense treasures are too strong. Look at him, he's not hurt at all. He just seems to be slightly shocked. Chief Judge Wang smiled and said, It's normal to be shocked. Old Li, if you were to fight against a melee expert, you would also be shocked if the opponent suddenly used a soul attack. Chief Judge Li rubbed his nose and chuckled. That's true. It's about time. The outcome has been decided. Yes. Chief Judge Wang nodded. The outcome had been decided. This was not only the thought of the two judges of the 7th Mercenary Alliance, but also the thoughts of the staff of the Time Virtual Company. Seeing that Lin Feng had used his final killing move, but failed, everyone knew that the battle was over. Because this was Lin Feng's only chance to win. In terms of battle prowess, Sikong Wushuang completely crushed Lin Feng. His life rating was already that of a middle-level heavenly god, and his battle prowess had even reached the peak of a high-level heavenly god. He was not just a little bit stronger than Fei Qing. Moreover, Sikong Wushuang controlled 3 high-level heavenly Dao cardinal treasures, and he had mastered each of them to the extreme. In addition to the geographical advantage, there was no possibility of Sikong Wushuang losing. Strong. Sikong Wushuang is so strong, as expected of a special grade genius. Haha, Lin Feng is going to lose. On the screen, Lin Feng was indeed at a disadvantage, and there were many injuries on his body. The difference in strength was obvious, so losing to Sikong Wushuang was not a shameful thing. This was because Sikong Wushuang was already invincible among the mid-level standard experts. Even among the high-level standard experts, he would be one of the best. Let's end this. Seikong Wushuang's sword transformed into numerous enormous curtains of water that descended like a waterfall. A wisp of killing intent and resolution flashed within his eyes. As the heir of the Seikong clan, he naturally wouldn't show unnecessary benevolence. This was a survival challenge, and it was either you die or I live. Suddenly, the surrounding time slowed down as if it was in slow motion. Sima Wushuang frowned slightly. As someone who cultivated the time, heavenly Tao, he knew what this was. It's just time reversal. Sima Wushuang did not care at all. However, in the blink of an eye, a prehistoric giant beast suddenly appeared in front of him. It roared and bit at him crazily. Illusion. Illusion countercurrent eye. Sima Wushuang instantly understood. His eyes lit up as the soul defense treasure, tungsten tear jade, emitted a bright luster to resist the illusion. Although it was a mid-level heavenly Tao cardinal treasure, the tungsten tear jade had a complete set of functions. Whether it was to defend against illusions or soul attacks, it was very effective. At this moment, boom, a terrifying soul power rushed into the sea of consciousness. The prehistoric giant beast from before was like an illusion, but this time, the soul power was extremely real. Illusion? Sima Wushuang was a little confused, but he immediately reacted. The tungsten tear, jade, let out a mournful cry, and the luster it emitted instantly dimmed. It was penetrated by the terrifying soul power and exploded. Soul attack. How is this possible? Sima Wushuang instantly felt as if his soul was being torn apart. Without the protection of the tungsten tear jade, his soul could only rely on the sea of consciousness and his body to resist. However, his soul was also being affected by the illusion. Why is his soul attack so much stronger than the previous one? Sima Wushuang did not expect that he would be able to withstand the previous soul attack of his opponent without suffering any damage. However, this time, it was completely different from the previous one. The previous one was like a small stream, but the current one was like a stormy sea, crazily crashing into his sea of consciousness. Don't even think about defeating me. Sima Wushuang gritted his teeth, and his eyes were bloodshot. He also used all his strength. As smart as he was, he knew that he had been tricked by his opponent. The phantom countercurrent I coupled with the soul attack was simply terrifying. A single soul attack required full concentration, and it was difficult to coordinate with other treasures. However, the phantom countercurrent I was a special treasure that did not require any control. Boom! Bleeding from his 7 orifices, Sima Wushuang stubbornly blocked the attack. However, when he woke up, he saw the death god approaching. The third layer of carvings of the War Saber Calamity was activated, and 100% of the Calamity's state and power was reflected. Lin Feng, who had less than 10% of his soul power left, went crazy with endless battle intent. Third layer of carvings, rank 8 spatial secret art, beheading. Die. Endless killing intent erupted, and combined with his strong fighting spirit, Lin Feng displayed the 4th move of the Milky Way saber art without restraint. Mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Calamity after calamity, Sima Wushuang, whose soul was severely injured, let out a miserable howl. The treasures on his body lit up with resplendent light, protecting their master. Chi! The saber light fell, and the death doll appeared, blocking the fatal damage. However, at this moment, a halo descended from the sky, falling toward the escaping Seikong Wushuang. It was Emperor Wu's universe ring, and it smashed right into Seikong Wushuang's head. At the same time, it let out bursts of golden light, trapping him in the center. Shua! Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and his figure appeared in front of Seikong Wushuang. The third layer of carvings of the War Saber Calamity flashed again, beheading. Chapter 2370. Everyone was dumbfounded. The situation changed so quickly that it shocked everyone. Just a moment ago, Seikong Wushuang still had the absolute upper hand and killed Lin Feng until he was utterly defeated. However, in just an instant, he was struck by counterattack and was seriously injured. He even used the death doll, but he still couldn't escape the calamity and was caught by Lin Feng. Once the Grim Reaper's saber fell, Sikong Wushuang would definitely die. A huge reversal. Everyone opened their mouths wide in shock. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Seeing Lin Feng's saber falling down and about to behead the special class genius, Sikong Wushuang, they felt their hearts being squeezed tightly. Sikong Wushuang was a special class genius. Yet, he was killed in a survival challenge. Even in the advanced standard survival challenge, it was rare, let alone the intermediate standard survival challenge. The scariest thing was that the one who killed him was a super genius in preparation. Lin Feng's saber was clean and neat, just like his attack. Once he made his move, it would definitely be thunderous. Previously, when he used his soul attack for the first time, it was just a feint to paralyze Sikong Wushuang. Although it wasted 20% of his soul power, it was worth it. Using the last special advanced heavenly treasure, Phantom Countercurrent Eye, to force out Sikong Wushuang's soul defense treasure and then attacking with his soul attack. The combination of the two was the best trump card. Lin Feng was very clear. There was only one chance. He succeeded. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, and there was less than 10% of his soul power left. It didn't affect Lin Feng's attack. At that moment, his soul consciousness was extremely clear. His powerful willpower controlled his body. His saber was domineering and was only a foot away from Sikong Wushuang's head. However, it couldn't fall anymore. It was a milky white cotton candy-like cloud that had transformed into a time vortex. When Lin Feng's attack landed, it was as if it had struck a piece of cotton that could not withstand the force. It was instantly engulfed by the time energy. What a terrifying laws of time. Lin Feng came to a halt. His mastery of the time heavenly way had reached a high level. Even if he was so far away, he could still dissolve his attack. The strength of a newcomer made everyone gasp in amazement. Lin Feng's eyes regained their clarity. Looking at the time gap in the distance that looked like an eye, he cupped his hands slightly. Junior Lin Feng greets the Venerable One. Other than Venerable Ones, there was no one else who had such strength. Buzz. Sizzle, a crack appeared in the space of time, and a white-bearded old man in a Taoist robe stepped out. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand, and his eyes narrowed into a smile. With a light wave of his hand, the horsetail whisk fell. Time seemed to reverse as the Wu Di universe ring that was tied to Sikong Wushuang returned to Lin Feng's hand. There was no attack, and there was no destruction. It was as simple as that, flowing like water. Venerable Bai Fu. Hequan abruptly stood up from his chair and widened his eyes. It's Venerable Bai Fu of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. The group leaders frowned. The members of the Time Virtual Company might not recognize him, but the team leaders were experienced and knowledgeable, so they naturally recognized him. Venerable Bai Fu's name was well known in the Xingfeng astral boundary. Whoosh! Hequan turned into a streak of light and instantly left the control room. Luosher's secret realm. Venerable Bai Fu waved his horsetail whisk, and Sikong Wushuang's figure instantly disappeared. He squinted his eyes and looked at Lin Feng. Little guy, why didn't you ask me? Venerable Ones must have a reason for doing this. Lin Feng said this, but his heart was bleeding. Sikong Wushuang's wealth was probably 3 or 4 times that of Fei Qing and Li Kongxiu. He was saved by Venerable Ones just like that, and he couldn't do anything about it. Was he supposed to question Venerable Ones? Venerable Bai Fu said with a smile, I know you must be unconvinced, but little guy, I didn't save him but you. Lin Feng's heart sank, and his eyes instantly lit up. Thank you, Senior. Venerable Bai Fu said with a smile, Wushuang is the successor of the Sikong clan. I did Venerable Sikong a favor, so why not? Lin Feng nodded. Although Venerable Bai Fu didn't explain, he understood. The successor of the Sikong clan had a noble status, and it was much more important than the word special genius. Especially the Venerable Sikong mentioned by Venerable Bai Fu, who was obviously a member of the Sikong clan. Although there were no rules in the survival challenge, and no one would blame you if you killed your opponent here, it was only the rules on the surface. If you killed someone's successor, you still expect them to smile at you and not take revenge? Indeed, no one knew what happened in the survival challenge of the Time Void Realm, but that was for ordinary warriors. For those venerable ones, it wasn't difficult for them to know something. Especially Sikong Wushuang, who was very famous and was a special genius. Firstly, he wasn't famous, and secondly, he didn't have a backer. After killing Sikong Wushuang, his future would be difficult. Even if he joined the Time Virtual Company, it could protect him for a while, but it couldn't protect him forever. This kind of hatred, even if he became a venerable in the future, he couldn't offset it. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Lin Feng thanked Venerable Bai Fu. Some things should be avoided, especially when he was still young and had a hard time. He shouldn't cause any trouble. Ha! Venerable Bai Fu squinted his eyes and laughed. I won't treat you badly. Go inside. Whether you have an opportunity or not, it's up to you. As he spoke, he waved his white horsetail whisk, and a milky white light shield appeared and wrapped Lin Feng up. The time energy fused into one, and the milky white light shield was like a bright sunball with amazing energy. Whoosh! The time light ball floated in the air. As Venerable Bai Fu waved his horsetail whisk, it instantly wrapped Lin Feng up like a shooting star and shot into the eye-like time gap. Ha ha ha! As his laughter echoed, Venerable Bai Fu's figure gradually blurred and disappeared into the void. 7th Mercenary Alliance, 5th Time Void Realm Monitoring Room. Chief Judge Wang and Chief Judge Li widened their eyes. As a member of the 7th Mercenary Alliance, they naturally recognized Venerable Bai Fu, who was always elusive. He was a big shot, and it was difficult for them to meet him. But now, Venerable Bai Fu had appeared, just for a special genius with an intermediate standard title. What happened? Venerable Bai Fu hasn't even appeared for those super geniuses who have reached the perfect standard. What's going on today? Chief Judge Wang shook his head and looked at Chief Judge Li with a confused face. How would I know? Chief Judge Li murmured. Lin Feng, this little guy, has potential, but it's not enough for Venerable Bai Fu to come here personally, right? The two chief judges looked at each other and smiled bitterly. It was too strange. Chapter 2371. Time Virtual Company, Top-Notch Intelligent Cabin. Boss! He Quan's figure flashed and appeared in front of Chung Weigua. I have already informed Sir Supremacy. Chung Weigua's voice was vigorous. His square face was filled with dignity, and his eyes flashed. My Time Virtual Company is determined to get this kid. He Quan nodded. Defeating the strong with the weak, this battle with Sikong Wushuang is too beautiful. Chung Weigua said, My Time Virtual Company doesn't lack geniuses. Even those without talent can be smashed into talent. What we lack is this kind of extremely strong combat ability. This isn't talent, but countless life and death calamities, often rolling on the edge of life and death to train valuable experience. He Quan sighed. I didn't expect this kid to have such a fighting heart at such a young age. Chung Weigua said, compared to him, Sikong Wushuang is too immature. He clearly has a better talent inheritance, a stronger heavenly Tao treasure, and overwhelming strength, but in the end he was almost cut down. He Quan said, Lin Feng is a piece of unpolished jade. It's a pity, if only we could recruit him before. Chung Weigua said, Don't blame yourself. You have already done very well. It's my fault. But now there is still a chance. I have already asked Sir Supremacy. If Sir Supremacy is willing to personally appear, this matter can still be resolved. He Quan nodded. Yes, this kid cannot be given to the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Of course. Luo Time's secret realm. Sitting in the time-light ball, Lin Feng flew towards the time gap that was like an eye. The abundant time energy danced like a jumping fairy. Even the time-light ball, it could be clearly felt. The black whirlpool excitedly absorbed the abundant energy, even though the need for it was not too great now. In the bright sky secret realm, I have never found such a place. It seems that every secret realm has its own uniqueness. I paid too much attention to killing and neglected this. Now that he calmed down, he could properly appreciate it. After swallowing the heaven and earth fruit that recovered soul force, he slowly recovered his consumed soul force, enjoying the quiet time, secret realm in this empty valley. He could sense the time laws everywhere, hiding the heavenly Tao. It was too big inside. From the outside, it looked like nothing more than a crack. However, after entering the vast expanse of heaven, the flow of time was different in every place. The changes in time are also different, sometimes fast and sometimes slow, sometimes fast and sometimes slow, sometimes moving and sometimes still. The various time laws merged into one, as if every brick and tile of the time heavenly Tao had formed a bridge of time. Here, Lin Feng's heart was completely immersed. Whoosh! The light ball of time was still flying at the speed of light, as if it was searching for something. Years passed, and in the blink of an eye, thousands of years had passed. Only then did the light ball of time slow down, and the energy it had gathered dissipated like a candle. Where is this? Lin Feng floated in the air, curiously looking around. After a quick glance, he found that this place wasn't any different from other places. The abundant time energy was like jumping musical notes, condensed into one with a unique time principle. There must be something special about it. Lin Feng was very clear. This was the place that the Venerable One wanted him to come to, and there was definitely an opportunity here. As for whether or not he could grasp it, that would depend on his own luck. Comprehending the time, heavenly Tao, Lin Feng looked around and didn't notice the existence of any other similar treasures, nor did he notice any existence like a treasure vault or inheritance. It was obvious at a glance. The aura spread out, and it was the purest and most direct time, heavenly Tao. After observing several times and still not finding anything special, Lin Feng calmed down and started comprehending the time, heavenly Tao. He still had a lot of time left, so he could take it slow. The 7th Mercenary Alliance, Xing Feng Astral World Headquarters. Ah, Bai Fu, you've taken a fancy to this little guy. Venerable Yin Kuan laughed. He was wearing a pitch-black battle armor full of fine patterns, and his sturdy figure gave off an extremely oppressive feeling just by standing there. Venerable Bai Fu's signature laughter came from the passage. Can I? Venerable Yin Kuan rolled his eyes. Even if this kid has potential, he will walk the path of a space venerable. What does it have to do with you? Venerable Bai Fu laughed. How do you know that his talent in time is not good? Venerable Yin Kuan said, Isn't that nonsense? Look at the heavenly Tao treasures he used. They're all space type. Since when did he use time type? Venerable Bai Fu, only laughed and didn't say anything. Furthermore, the time virtual company is much fiercer than us in snatching people. Are you so sure that he will come to our side? Venerable Yin Kuan said. Venerable Bai Fu said, If I want to do it, then I will do it. A meaningful smile appeared in his eyes, and then his figure flashed and disappeared at the end of the passage. Venerable Yin Kuan scratched his head and didn't understand for a long time. What is this Bai Fu doing? Is that kid so good? Venerable Yin Kuan tilted his head and couldn't understand. Luosher's secret realm, deep within the time crack. Lin Feng wasn't unfamiliar with cultivating the time, heavenly Tao, from scratch. After all, the Black Whirlpool was a combination of time and space. Moreover, the time heavenly Tao was more compatible with the soul, so it was much easier to grasp it. However, his foundation was indeed a little weak. This is a complete time heavenly Tao, the path to becoming a time venerable. After thousands of years of meditation, Lin Feng clearly understood Venerable Bai Fu's intention. Obviously, he wanted him to take this path. However, the time of the Intermediate Standard Survival Challenge was limited, and his foundation was weak. Even if it was compatible, he wouldn't be able to catch up. To cultivate or not to cultivate. In the remaining time, he could do other things, or cultivate the path of light and darkness, which he was better at. Even if he cultivated the space heavenly Tao, which had a better foundation, the effect would be better. Either cultivate or continue to explore. Lin Feng clearly remembered the rules of the Advanced Standard mission. survive for 100,000 years, and accumulate at least one virtual green core, obtain all the mission items in the 7 ordinary secret realms, and kill any secret realm lord. He had already completed the mission requirements and only needed to wait for the time to run out. However, there was still a special mission, which was to enter the Yin Huang Great World and find the Heavenly Dao Cliff's virtual Heavenly Dao Palace. The mission would be completed in advance. This kind of mission that is completed in advance is extraordinarily difficult. There is no need to waste energy to take risks. It is more practical to cultivate and improve my strength. When I become an expert of the advanced standard, there will be more challenges. Lin Feng had already made up his mind. As for continuing to kill other experts, there wasn't much meaning. He had already challenged the strongest intermediate standard expert, so he might as well focus on improving his strength and face the advanced standard expert in a better state in combat strength. Let's cultivate here. Since the Venerable asked me to come here, he should have his reasons. Perhaps it isn't what I think. Moreover, there is no harm in coming into contact with the time Heavenly Dao and comprehending by analogy. Chapter 2372. Above the Dark Domain Master was the God Realm. The God Splits were the God-level warriors, God Spirits, Sky Gods, and God Masters. They were the existences that controlled the Heavenly Dao. They could use the Heavenly Dao power and perform the Heavenly Dao law. They were invincible. Their bodies could withstand the devouring power of the black hole. Except for some special universe, secret realms, they were invincible. However, they only controlled a part of the heavenly axiom. They were like the controllers of a technological device. That was all. Only those who had truly comprehended the Heavenly Dao and obtained the recognition of the universe could be considered the top experts in the universe. Venerable One. He was an existence that had mastered a complete Heavenly Dao. Generally, there were 4 paths from Godly Master to Knight. They were Time Knight, Space Knight, Universe Knight, and Diamond Knight. These 4 paths were very common, and there was no difference in combat power. The Time Sovereign and Space Sovereign had advanced by comprehending the heavenly Daos of time and space. This was because time and space were both heavenly laws. There were more Universe Knights in the human race, as humans had stronger comprehension abilities. Cultivating the myriad manifestations Heavenly Dao involved fusing various laws, such as lightning and wind, light and earth, darkness and yin. After fusing them, one could reach the level of demi-immortal laws, or even higher, depending on the grade of the myriad manifestations Heavenly Dao. Vajra supremacies were usually born from the demon race, and all kinds of ferocious beasts, divine beasts, and special life forms. Their corporeal bodies were strong, so they tempered themselves and formed the Hundan body. All life forms were part of the universe. The only difference was whether they were weak or strong when they were born. Strong special life forms were born with the chaotic body and could easily become venerables. Weak life forms were like flowers and trees that could die with the wind. However, no matter how weak a life form was, it was still a life form of the universe and had the possibility of becoming a Vajra venerable. Other than that, there are also some special venerables. For example, the Venerable of Inheritance, the Devil Heart Venerable who cultivated the demon heart in his body, the Venerable Yuan Crystal of the machine race, the One Thought Venerable of the human race, and so on. The so-called special did not mean that they were stronger than the 4 types of venerable ones. It was just that the requirements for them were relatively harsh, the path was difficult, and there were fewer of them. This isn't just the time Heavenly Dao. After cultivating in the crack of time for 10,000 years, Lin Feng finally discovered something strange. In the beginning, the cultivation of the Heavenly Dao was more about a solid foundation. But after reaching the 1,000 origins level, it began to change. It wasn't just the Heavenly Dao of the time lineage, but also some other factors. However, this mixture of factors not only did not make it more complicated to comprehend, it actually made it much easier for him to comprehend. It was like trying to control a piece of technological equipment and not knowing where to start. Suddenly, he realized that there was a part of the technological equipment that he was familiar with and felt close to. That feeling came from the heart. It was the soul. What a special heavenly Tao. Lin Feng sighed. After browsing through all the rewards and treasures in the top-tier artificial intelligence, he was naturally no stranger to the heavenly Tao and the venerables. This was not only a set of myriad phenomena heavenly Tao related to time, but also a set of rare myriad phenomena heavenly Tao related to souls. In other words, if Ouyang Ming were to follow the path that the white-bearded Venerable One had pointed out to him, by the time he became a Venerable One, not only would he be a time Venerable One, but he would also be a one-thought Venerable One. Although there was no difference between the two types of venerables, it was obvious that those who controlled two paths of the heavenly axiom would be much stronger. Interesting. Lin Feng smiled. The white-bearded Venerable must have known about his killer move and judged the strength of his soul from the power of the 7th level of the Kuan Ling Heart Arrow. That was why he recommended him to take this path. The heavenly Tao of time and one soul were incomparably compatible to begin with. Naturally, they could fuse together perfectly. It's not bad to have one more path to take. Lin Feng was very satisfied. He originally thought that it was just the heavenly Tao of time, but it was not. Taking two paths at once was equivalent to coming into contact with two paths that he had never taken before. It would be of great help to him. Cultivating here would definitely be much more effective than referring to the myriad phenomena heavenly Tao. One needed to explore by oneself, while the other only needed to immerse oneself to comprehend. The difference was too big. However, it's impossible to comprehend a complete heavenly Tao in just a few tens of thousands of years. Lin Feng thought to himself and was a little curious. What's the Venerable One's intention for asking me to do this? Perhaps he overestimated me and thought that I would only need tens of thousands of years to master a complete heavenly Tao. Lin Feng could not help but laugh. He could not guess what the Venerable One's intentions were. There was no other path at the moment. He could only continue to comprehend and cultivate the path of time and the soul. Even if he could not master a complete heavenly Tao, he would comprehend as much as he could. He would not have the opportunity to do so outside. The 7th Mercenary Alliance, the 5th time Virtual Realm Monitoring Room. Soon. Lin Feng will be out soon. The big-headed chief, Judge Wang, rubbed his hands together. Okay, no problem. I'm ready. I'll go and recruit him immediately. Chief Judge Li's small eyes were shining. He could no longer hold back. What did you say? Chief Judge Wang glared and said with his chest puffed out, You were the one who tried to recruit Sikong Wushuang previously, but you failed. This time, it should be my turn to recruit him. Chief Judge Li's expression changed. You're blaming me for Sikong Wushuang's failure? Sikong the Venerable was originally from the time Virtual Realm Company, and their conditions were better than ours. What can I do? You're shirking your responsibility. Chief Judge Wang snorted. Chief Judge Li was furious. I'm in charge of Lin Feng. I should be the one to recruit him. Chief Judge Wang glanced at him. I don't know who was the one who didn't recruit Lin Feng when he reached the intermediate standard title. That's because... Chief Judge Li's mouth twitched. He snorted and said, because I knew that Lin Feng would not be satisfied with just the intermediate standard title, so I let the Time Virtual Realm Company use up the quota. Look at how smart I was. Chief Judge Wang glared at him. Old Li, you're shameless. Chief Judge Li did not look at Chief Judge Wang. He waved his hand and said, I don't care. Anyway, I'll be the one who will recruit Lin Feng later. I'll go. Whoosh. A ray of light flashed, and a stalwart figure appeared. It was a man with a cold expression. He had an imposing aura like a terrifying giant axe. A pair of sharp eyes swept across them. Chief Judge Wang and Chief Judge Li were speechless. Greetings, Judge. Chief Judge Wang and Chief Judge Li bowed. The person in front of them was the Tomahawk Venerable, the Virtual Realm Judge, who was in charge of the recruitment of newcomers for the entire time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge. His status was far higher than that of Chief Judge Wang and Chief Judge Li. You don't have to fight, the Tomahawk Venerable said indifferently. Chief Judge Wang and Chief Judge Li were stunned. Judge, it's not me. The Tomahawk Venerable shook his head. You don't have to care about Lin Feng anymore. Someone has interfered. Someone has interfered? Chief Judge Wang and Chief Judge Li swallowed their saliva. They immediately understood and cupped their hands. Yes. Chapter 2373. In an independent space with top-level intelligence. Whoosh, Lin Feng appeared, sitting cross-legged and floating in the air. A faint layer of time, elemental energy, condensed around his body, looking dazzling and sacred. In the last tens of thousands of years, Lin Feng had been cultivating in the time gap. Now, his realm was extremely high. This was the first time Lin Feng had spent so much time cultivating. In the 100 virtual realm of time, this kind of opportunity was quite rare because in another way, it was equivalent to increasing one's cultivation speed by 100 times. Not to mention the unique geographical environment of the time gap, such as the place where all the 10,000 phenomena heavenly axiom had analyzed. It made cultivation twice the result with half the effort. But now it was all over. In the future, if he wanted to continue cultivating, he would have to rely on other methods. If he reached the high-level standard title, he would not be able to enter the 7 ordinary secret realms, so he could not continue cultivating. The two giants are so calculative. Lin Feng sighed. In fact, they were just giving you a taste of the benefits. When you couldn't stop cultivating, time would be up, and you would have to continue cultivating, right? Then, you would have to join the two giants. This was taking what they needed, and it was very beneficial to both sides. But it didn't matter to him. His life level was not even at the Divine Master level, and he was still far from breaking through to the honorable level. His previous cultivation was more of an increase in realm, experience, and mastery of the path of cultivation. At the same time, with the comprehension of the two heavenly axioms, his life level had also increased by a lot. He was no longer a middle-level heavenly god, but a peak heavenly god. Time and space are both heaven rank laws. Comprehending any one of them is equivalent to comprehending the universe, so my life level will naturally increase. His foundation in the time heavenly axiom was weak, so the increase in his life level was also great. He was only one step away from becoming a heavenly god and reaching the Divine Master level. Even so, his combat strength had completely improved. If he met Sikong Wushuang again, he was 100% confident that he could defeat him head-on. His combat strength was now extremely close to the peak of the Divine Master level. Life level is very important. After tens of thousands of years of cultivation, his comprehension of the 9 heavens of light and darkness had deepened, and he was very close to comprehending the 3rd heaven. The path of heavenly axiom had some similar comprehensions. Congratulations, contestant. You have completed the high-level standard of the time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge. Please wait. Following the familiar voice of the top-grade artificial intelligence, a ripple suddenly appeared in space. In that instant, time seemed to stop. Lin Feng instantly felt his soul tremble, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The white-haired, white-bearded old man, had an amiable smile on his face. He held a white horsetail whisk in his hand and had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He was the white-bearded old man who had sent him to the crack in time. Greetings, venerable one. Lin Feng was rather surprised and cupped his hands. He had guessed that the two giants would send someone to recruit him, but he did not expect it to be a venerable powerhouse. Moreover, it was the white-bearded venerable one who had just given him pointers. This old man's name is Bai Fu. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. With a wave of the white horsetail whisk in his hand, the time between heaven and earth seemed to have changed. His control over the time heavenly Tao was so strong that it could be said to be peerless. Supremacy Bai Fu, Lin Feng said respectfully. Venerable Bai Fu smiled and said, I belong to the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Why do you believe? Buzz, buzz, buzz. A frightening thunderbolt tore open the space. Reverend Bai Fu slightly nodded. Not far from them, a man covered in thunderbolts stepped out of the space crack. He had a pair of massive, thunderous wings on his back, which condensed thunderbolts. It looked like he was entangled in thunderbolts, which made people shudder in fear. What a terrifying aura! Lin Feng's heart trembled. The lightning aura of a newcomer was so strong that it even overshadowed Reverend Bai Fu's aura. However, it was just an external aura. Reverend Bai Fu's eyes were bright and clear. He had a benevolent smile on his face. His strength was definitely not limited to this. Leo, this seems to be against the rules. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. Reverend Lei Ao avoided Reverend Bai Fu's gaze and walked towards Lin Feng. His imposing manner was like a falling star. However, in an instant, Reverend Lei Ao grinned and revealed a smile. Heroes indeed come from the young. I'm Reverend Lei Ao from the Time Virtual Company. Lin Feng, are you willing to join the Time Virtual Company? Reverend Lei Ao's smile seemed to have softened the lightning. Reverend Bai Fu smiled helplessly, but it was a bitter smile. He had always known Reverend Lei Ao's temperament. He didn't play by the rules. According to the rules set by the two big shots, the Time Virtual Company had already recruited Lin Feng once when he obtained the Intermediate Standard title. Now, it was the 7th Mercenary Alliance's turn to recruit him first. Only after each of them had a chance would they compete. However, Reverend Lei Ao was completely unreasonable and cut the queue. Reverend Bai Fu couldn't do anything about it. What could he do when a reverend was deliberately acting shamelessly? Greetings, Reverend Lei Ao. Lin Feng bowed. Facing a reverend, as a junior, he should be respectful, no matter which force he came from. However, he was a little flattered at the moment. When he obtained the Intermediate Standard title, only the Time Virtual Company sent team leader to recruit him. Now it was two reverends. He was just a level 1 newbie, but he was valued by the two big shots. Lin Feng also knew some rules. When he obtained the Advanced Standard title, the chances of the two big shots coming to recruit him were much higher. Moreover, when he obtained the Intermediate Standard title, the Time Virtual Company had already recruited him. However, those who came to recruit him were usually the team leader, the person in charge, and the 7th Mercenary Alliance's presiding judge. Now, it was two reverends who came. Come, Lin Feng, follow me to the 7th Mercenary Alliance. With your talent, there's no need to prove yourself in the survival challenge. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. The 7th Mercenary Alliance will give you the best treatment as a special class genius and nurture you at all costs. Don't listen to him. The 7th Mercenary Alliance will stuff you into the secret realm and let you perish on your own. Reverend Lei Ao said, Come to my Time Virtual Company. We have the best resources of the 5 big shots, the best nurturing plan, and the most complete universe's heavenly Tao. The path to becoming a reverend will be smooth without any risks. With Lin Feng's talent, I can help you obtain the best nurturing conditions as a special class genius. Nonsense! Reverend Bai Fu shouted. How can the 7th Mercenary Alliance waste a talent? In the 7th Divine Realm, the Time Virtual Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance are about the same in terms of strength. Where does your confidence come from? Reverend Lei Ao snorted and ignored Reverend Bai Fu. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, Come, Lin Feng, come to the Time Virtual Company. You won't regret it. At this moment, Lin Feng was a little stunned by the two reverends' crazy recruitment. Chapter 2374. Different from the other warriors participating in the survival challenge, Lin Feng had never thought of joining the two great Leviathans, nor did he have a deep understanding of them. This was because he wanted to join the first-class power, Steelbone Universe Ship Company. Only after entering the survival challenge did he realize that the 5 Leviathans were the true rulers of Xing Feng Star World, the true giants. Humans strive for greater heights. Water flows to lower places. This was how it should be. Furthermore, towards Steelbone Universe Ship Company, it was only because of the initial meeting and good impression. There were no other factors. Shouldering the heavy responsibility of the Milky Way, as well as his own future, Lin Feng naturally wouldn't rashly make a decision, including the two Leviathans. The truth was, no matter how extravagant the rewards were, it was not as good as the actual rewards. Dazzled. When he was a level 1 genius, the Time Virtual Company gave out 18 rookie rewards. Every one of them was extremely moving and generous. Lin Feng could still clearly remember that it would be a lie if he said he wasn't moved. For example, he could choose a top-tier Heavenly Treasure weapon, a top-tier Heavenly Treasure battle armor, and 3 high-tier heavenly treasures. For example, he would initially receive 10,000 universe crystals as a reward, and after that, he would receive 1,000 universe crystals as a reward every era. But now that he had become a super genius, he realized that the reward for a level 1 genius was nothing. For a level 1 genius, there were 18 rookie rewards. For a super genius, there were a total of 36 rookie rewards. It was more than double, and every reward was much better than a level 1 genius's. For example, he could choose a top-tier heavenly treasure weapon, a top-tier heavenly treasure battle armor, and any top-tier heavenly treasure. The initial reward of universe crystals from 10,000 universe crystals increased by 100 times, reaching a shocking 1 million universe crystals. Every era, he would receive 100,000 universe crystals, which was 100 times more than a level 1 genius. But these were the conditions given by the Time Virtual Company. The conditions given by the 7th Mercenary Alliance were different. In comparison, the material aspect was slightly inferior. For example, the Universe Crystal reward, the Time Virtual Company gave 1 million Universe Crystals, but the 7th Mercenary Alliance only gave 500,000 Universe Crystals. Although it was still a lot, it was only a double. But the 7th Mercenary Alliance had more miscellaneous benefits. There were a total of 42 conditions for super geniuses, 6 more than the Time Virtual Company. All in all, the conditions offered by Time Virtual Company are better. Purely in terms of benefits, there's a slight difference, but everyone has their own strengths. The 7th Mercenary Alliance controls more universe secret regions. To warriors who like to explore and challenge, it is more suitable. Time Virtual Company pays more attention to comprehensive training, giving resources and teaching. Lin Feng carefully analyzed the 2 conditions and understood in his heart. To put it simply, one was from the academic faction, while the other was from the practical faction. No wonder Knight Leo said that the 7th Mercenary Alliance liked to throw geniuses into the universe secret region. Lin Feng looked at Honorable Lao. In terms of conditions, the Time Virtual Company was indeed quite outstanding. They would give you as much resources as you had talent, allowing you to become a talent. Moreover, when he had reached the intermediate standard title, the 7th Mercenary Alliance had not appeared at that time. Only the Time Virtual Company had come to recruit him and gave him the excellent treatment of a level 1 genius. Actually, at that time, he had almost joined the Time Virtual Company. It was just that a level 1 newcomer had to enter the Eternal Earth secret region to be nurtured and become a superior god lord before leaving. The destruction of the Milky Way super black hole happened in an instant. He did not have enough time, hence he had rejected. Honorable Lei Ao, there's a list of special grade newcomers that enter the Heavenly Life secret region. They have to reach the pinnacle of God Lord before they can leave, right? Lin Feng asked. Honorable Bai Fu's smile became a little awkward, while Honorable Lei Ao was overjoyed, laughing loudly. Rewards are just a formality. Everything can be discussed. Lin Feng, if you're willing to go, then go. If you're not, it is also fine. A special grade genius. Becoming honorable was just a matter of time. The company would not care. Facing such a talent, any powerhouse would take a wait-and-see attitude, allowing them to develop freely without any restrictions. After all, geniuses were often independent and had their own personalities. Lin Feng nodded lightly. The treatment of a special grade genius and a level 1 genius was indeed very different. Previously, because of this disagreement with the Time Virtual Company, the negotiations fell apart, hence he had rejected. Plus, 10 bottles of Universe Spring of Life required 10 million Cosmos crystals, which he had earned. Honorable Bai Fu chuckled. It is the same for our side. Lin Feng, you can come and go as you wish. Don't worry about anything else. The 7th Mercenary Alliance values the freedom of every strong warrior. Even after becoming honorable, you will have extreme freedom in the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Honorable Lei Ao's eyes slanted. Aren't honorables free wherever they go? Honorable Bai Fu's old face twitched, smiling at Lin Feng. Whatever the Time Virtual Company can give you, the 7th Mercenary Alliance can give you. Even what the Time Virtual Company can't give you, the 7th Mercenary Alliance can give you. The creator of the heartstream technique that you cultivated previously is an honorable of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. This old man can recommend you. I believe Sir Huangzun will be happy to guide this junior. Honorable Lei Ao's expression changed, muttering inwardly, "Old fox." Lin Feng scratched his head. To be honest, although he was interested in the heartstream technique, it didn't affect his decision that much. In fact, he was more grateful for Honorable Bai Fu's guidance. Previously, the 7th Mercenary Alliance's offer was not bad, so he naturally had a good impression of them. As for the Time Virtual Company, first impressions were the strongest. After all, they were the ones who took the initiative to recruit him and express their attitude. The feeling of being recognized was like a talent scout. Moreover, in terms of resources on the surface, it was obvious that the Time Virtual Company had the advantage. If either of the two big shots came, he wouldn't have to worry. He could just join any one of them. Anyway, he didn't have any background, and the two big shots were about the same in terms of power, so it didn't matter which one he joined. Although cultivation resources were important, he still had to rely on himself. Now that the two big shots were trying to recruit him together, it was a bit of a loss. The choice was quite difficult. Lin Feng himself didn't like to sell himself at a high price. Lin Feng is flattered by the good intentions of the two honorables. I really don't know how to choose. Lin Feng smiled bitterly, first thanking the two honorables. No matter which one he chose, at least he wouldn't offend them. Choosing the Time Virtual Company was the right choice. Honorable Lei Ao patted his chest and said proudly, Lin Feng, you decide for yourself. Reverend Bai Fu said with a smile on his face. Lin Feng let out a sigh. He nodded. He more or less had an idea in his mind. Chapter 2375. Sir Paragons, actually I still wish to continue participating in the survival challenge. Lin Feng said. Both Paragon Bai Fu and Paragon Lei Ao were stunned. They didn't expect this at all. Normally speaking, for an unknown newbie to grow step by step to become an exceptional genius, gaining the favor of the two tycoons and being invited to join, it was like an ugly duckling turning into a swan, like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Furthermore, there were other choices. No matter what, one should choose one to join. There wasn't much meaning in continuing to participate in the survival challenge. Lin Feng, you should know that participating in the survival challenge is always dangerous. Paragon Lei Ao frowned. And what you will face in the future are those who have cultivated for tens or even hundreds of times longer than you. They aren't easy to deal with. Paragon Bai Fu nodded in agreement. Actually, the meaning of the survival challenge is to dig out the potential of the newbie. Lin Feng, you have already proven yourself. There's no need to waste any more time. Focusing on becoming a paragon is the most important thing. Right, becoming a paragon is more important. The two paragons stood on the same side for the first time. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He had his own reasons for making such a choice. Firstly, he didn't understand the two tycoons well. After participating in the survival challenge, he had a total of 1,000,000 years to slowly understand them. The time flow rate of 100 was only 10,000 years outside. He could afford it. Secondly, he was actually very curious about those top-notch and perfect experts. He wanted to know what new and exciting content there would be in the survival challenge, and what challenges would make his blood boil. Thirdly, and also the most important, he needed 10 million cosmos crystals to buy 10 bottles of Universe Spring of Life. During the Advanced Standard Survival Challenge, even though he had killed many experts and gained quite a lot, he was still a distance away from 10 million cosmos crystals. However, this distance wasn't long. If he had another 1,000,000 years to kill more experts, not to mention 10 million cosmos crystals, even 20 million or 30 million cosmos crystals could be obtained. And joining the Time Virtual Company with the best benefits would only give him 1,000,000 cosmos crystals, which was far from enough. The benefits couldn't be discounted. Lastly, even if he didn't join now, he could still join after becoming a top-notch expert. By then, he would be stronger and have a better understanding of the two tycoons. By then, his decision would be much more stable. I have a little difficulty. Lin Feng was a little embarrassed to refuse the invitation of the two venerables, especially Venerable Bai Fu, who had given him a lot of pointers before. What difficulties? Tell us. We'll help you solve it. Reverend Bai Fu and Reverend Lei Ao said hastily. They both had the courage to do so. However, to the two reverends, the difficulties of a divine master were nothing more than that. Lin Feng thought for a moment. It's like this. I want to buy 10 pots of Universal Spring of Life, but I don't have enough money right now, Lin Feng said honestly. Universal Spring of Life? Venerable Bai Fu and Venerable Leo were slightly stunned. How much is the difference? I'll report it to the higher-ups. The virtual company will cover the time for you. Honorable Lei Ao was full of pride as he patted his chest and said, If it's not enough, you can ask me, Lei Ao. You can pay me back whenever you want. Lin Feng's heart stirred. Time Virtual Company was indeed rich and overbearing. They didn't even blink. That was 10 million cosmos crystals. Venerable Bai Fu's familiar laughter could be heard. However, this time, it seemed to have a deeper meaning. Venerable Lei Ao seemed to have thought of something as his face turned green. Lin Feng, are you thinking of buying Universal Spring of Life from the treasure trove? Venerable Bai Fu laughed. Yes, Lin Feng replied. Venerable Bai Fu looked at Lin Feng. It's good to continue participating in the survival challenge. However, killing too much will cause unnecessary trouble. It'll do more harm than good to your future growth. Lin Feng nodded. Venerable Bai Fu said, The most important thing is that there aren't that many Universal Spring of Life in the treasure trove. It's too rare, and every drop isn't easy to collect. Currently, there are only 2 pots of Universal Spring of Life in the treasure trove. Lin Feng was stunned. Only 2 pots? Are you afraid you can't buy it with money? Venerable Lei Ao snorted. Venerable Bai Fu chuckled and said, There are only a few scattered ones out there. It will take a lot of effort to collect them. Without enough connections and status, even if you offer 10 times the price, no one will sell them to you. Venerable Lei Ao was speechless. You can't buy it with money. Venerable Bai Fu's words were like a bucket of cold water, causing Lin Feng to ponder. If that was the case, there wouldn't be much meaning for him to continue participating in the survival challenge. His previous plan was disrupted, causing him to lose his composure. Suddenly, Lin Feng's heart stirred. He looked at Venerable Bai Fu. Sir Venerable, may I ask if the 7th Mercenary Alliance has any stock? Yes. Venerable Bai Fu laughed. It's definitely not enough for 10 pots. Venerable Lei Ao curled his lips. Venerable Bai Fu laughed. It's as Lei Ao said. Currently, there are only 3 pots of Universal Spring of Life in the 7th Mercenary Alliance. 3 pots, plus the 2 here, there's only 5 pots, half. Lin Feng's heart trembled. His gaze landed on the 2 venerables. Looking at their expressions, he couldn't help but exclaim. It was obvious that Venerable Bai Fu had something else to say. Lin Feng, if you really need 10 pots of Universal Spring of Life, then you have 3 choices. Venerable Bai Fu laughed. First, use your connections to exchange for them in various powers. The 5 magnates, 1st class and 2nd class powers, all have them. If you can gather all the treasuries of the 5 magnates, 10 pots of Universal Spring of Life will be more than enough. Lin Feng laughed bitterly. How could he have such connections? Second, wait patiently. Buy them at a high price from various shops and auction houses. You should be able to gather enough after millions of years. Lin Feng shook his head. He didn't have that much time. Venerable Bai Fu laughed and looked at Lin Feng like an old fox. Third, join the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Other than allowing you to exchange for 3 pots of Universal Spring of Life at the best price, I'll also arrange for you to enter the universe secret realm controlled by the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Yellow Springs Secret Realm. Only the Yellow Springs Secret Realm has Universal Spring of Life. Other than the members of the 7th Mercenary Alliance, the magnates and other powers are not allowed to enter without permission. As long as you have the ability, not to mention 10 pots of universal spring of life. You can even get 100 pots. Pung. Lin Feng's heart trembled as he looked at Venerable Bai Fu. This news was like a bomb that exploded in his heart, lingering for a long time. Yellow Spring's Secret Realm. Universal Spring of Life. 7th Mercenary Alliance. Venerable Bai Fu was obviously tempting him like Jiang Tai Gong fishing, but he was willing to take the bait. All right, I'm willing to join. Lin Feng looked at Venerable Bai Fu. Chapter 2376. He. Venerable Bai Fu squinted his eyes and nodded in satisfaction. On the other side, Honorable Riao softly muttered, "Sly old fox." As a venerable one, he would not drag things out. He would not use both hard and soft tactics to beg Lin Feng. Although special-grade geniuses were rare, it was not to the extent that a venerable one would lower himself to accept them. It would be good if Lin Feng could take them in. In the future, when Lin Feng became a talent, he would remember his benefits. If he couldn't accept it, there was nothing he could do. "I'm sorry, Venerable Lao." Lin Feng bowed slightly and expressed his gratitude to Venerable Lao. No matter what, the Time Virtual Company treated him sincerely. He had been hesitating and considered joining the company many times. But now that he had made his choice, he wouldn't think about anything else. From the moment he agreed to Venerable Bai Fu, he was already a member of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. There was no good or bad in joining the 5 great leaders. In the 7th Divine Realm, everyone was on equal footing. It was the same in the Xing Feng astral boundary. Forget it. Venerable Lao waved his hand. His gaze fell on Venerable Bai Fu and raised his eyebrows. "Don't be too proud, Bai Fu. Let's see if your 7th Mercenary Alliance is stronger or my Time Virtual Company is stronger." Venerable Bai Fu laughed. "I'll be happy to accompany you." "Oomph." Venerable Lao snorted. Lightning flashed on his body as if he wanted to prove his might and overshadow Venerable Bai Fu. The terrifying lightning caused the entire independent space to shake violently. So this is the strength of a venerable. Lin Feng felt it personally this time. The terrifying power wasn't only aimed at Venerable Bai Fu, but also at him. Even if it was only a small part, less than 1%, it was still much stronger than Xikong Wuxuan. That was the true power of the heavenly Tao. If Venerable Lao attacked him, he probably wouldn't be able to take even one hit. All of a sudden, a gentle breeze brushed past his face. It was as if a colorful cloud had appeared, causing time to become incomparably slow. The lightning elements that had been boundlessly violent earlier instantly quieted down, becoming docile and harmless. Venerable Bai Fu's familiar laughter sounded. Venerable Lao's expression was a bit ugly. Whoosh! Venerable Lao directly used lightning to tear open the space. "I won't see you off." Venerable Bai Fu smiled and said goodbye to Venerable Leo. His gaze then fell on Lin Feng. "Welcome to the 7th Mercenary Alliance." Lin Feng, exchange the treasures that you need to exchange. You don't have to look at the Heavenly Tao Treasury and the Secret Method Treasury. I'll wait for you outside. Sorry to trouble you. Supremacy Bai Fu. Lin Feng nodded. Venerable Bai Fu chuckled. Time seemed to stop at that moment. His figure gradually faded and disappeared. Following the departure of the 2 venerables, the independent space instantly became empty and returned to normal. Lin Feng also heaved a long sigh of relief. Although the 2 venerables did not release too much pressure, the independent space was only so big after all. The pressure from all aspects was still very strong. Honorable Bai Fu and Honorable Lao. One was soft, and the other was hard. They held high positions among the 2 giants, so they were naturally not ordinary. Venerable One, it's still very far away. Lin Feng knew it would not be easy for him to become a Venerable One. His bloodline was too strong. Although his potential was great, his improvement was slow. Until now, his life rating had only reached the peak of the Heavenly God Realm. It was still relying on his comprehension of the Heavenly Tao of Time to improve. It would be more and more difficult to improve further. However, special class geniuses can improve their bloodline in secret realms. It can be considered a blessing. Lin Feng smiled. In fact, it was not difficult for him to become a venerable one. Even if he did not need anything, his physical body could become a venerable one, because his physical body was a perfect chaotic body. However, first of all, his life rating had to be high enough. Moreover, the moment when he knocked on the door to become a venerable one from a god-level expert was very crucial. It would be of great help to his abilities in all aspects. It was not as simple as just crossing the threshold. His goal was naturally not just to become a venerable one with his physical body. At the very least, I have to be like my ancestor and comprehend the fifth heaven of light and darkness to become a venerable one and transcend the great limit. Lin Feng had a very clear goal. The road ahead was a little blurry before, but now it was much clearer. Joining the five giants was like stepping into the clouds, sweeping away all the obstacles in front of him. The road to becoming a venerable one was smooth sailing. Just like what the two venerables said, it was only a matter of time for a special class genius to become a venerable one. Don't let venerable Bai Fu wait for too long. Let's exchange all the rewards first. Lin Feng was straightforward. He glanced through the rewards on the screen without looking at them carefully. There was nothing to see. These rewards were 100 times more than the benefits of a special class genius. Although the benefits given to a special class genius by the 7th Mercenary Alliance could not be compared to the Time Virtual Company, it was not much worse. Just the reward of Cosmos Crystals alone was a total of 500,000 Cosmos Crystals. This was much more than the reward of a high-grade title. High-grade title reward, 10,000 Cosmos Crystals. High-grade title reward, 20,100 Cosmos Crystals. To those participants who relied on hiding and completing missions step by step, the amount of rewards was not small. However, to him, any middle-grade title expert that he casually killed would be worth more than this. Virtual Indigo Core, it's a pity that I can only open the 6th floor and not the 7th floor. Lin Feng shook his head. A flask of Universe Spring of Life required 1 million Cosmos Crystals, and the highest price range of the 6th floor was only 900,000 Cosmos Crystals. He missed the opportunity. Actually, there's not much use in exchanging now. Venerable Bai Fu mentioned before that there are only 2 flasks of Universe Spring of Life in the Ultimate Treasure Trove. His current wealth was about 3 million Cosmos Crystals. If he bought all the Universe Spring of Life, he would only be left with 1 million Cosmos Crystals. Now was the crucial time for him to increase his strength. Good steel should be used on the blade. These 3 million Cosmos Crystals were the most practical way to exchange for other treasures. Soon, I will enter the Yellow Spring secret realm and search for the Universe Spring of Life. Finding 8 flasks of Universe Spring of Life is not much different from finding 10 flasks of Universe Spring of Life. Lin Feng already had a plan in his heart. The Milky Way super black hole was still on his mind. It would be best if he could enter early. Sweeping his gaze across the ultimate treasure trove, Lin Feng swiftly sorted it out. As he had previously browsed through the entire treasure trove, he only needed to look at a small portion of it. Furthermore, he did not need to look at the Heavenly Tao treasure trove and the Secret Technique treasure trove, because the 7th Mercenary Alliance had them. Including the Heart of Stream technique that he cultivated previously, he would naturally obtain it after entering the 7th Mercenary Alliance, because he had joined as a special grade genius. This is useful. This is not bad too. And with this, it should be enough. Very quickly, Lin Feng exchanged all the spoils of war. Those that needed to be exchanged, those that needed to be kept, he swiftly cleared them out. 3 million Cosmos Crystals was not a lot, and after exchanging a few, they were all used up. Time to go. Lin Feng smiled and left the independent space. Chapter 2377. Xingfeng Star Sector, Yin Xian Universe Country. Within the Golden Palace, there are many people singing and dancing. The country leader Yun Kuan was drinking and chatting with the other universe country leaders. It was extremely lively. The virtual screens on all sides were displaying beautiful images, with beauties from different races competing for beauty. It was too much for the eyes to take in. Great Khan, have there been any good seedlings recently? The one who spoke was the country leader of Ailang Universe Country. An ape-man with long golden hair and a crown on his head shook his head and said, "Poor, too poor." Not a single one of them entered a second-class force. Only a few of them survived and joined a third-class force. Nilong Universe Country leader laughed loudly. "Our Universe Country has a little kid recently. He's not bad. He joined Panyu Ranch. However, he can't compare to Yin Luo. He's so impressive. The 17th prince joined Treasure Palace and has a high position." Luck. The emperor of Yin Luo Country, whose body was emitting green flames, laughed heartily. That good-for-nothing son of mine managed to pass by luck. Ailang Universe Country leader's eyes gleamed. He said enviously, "Yin Luo, you're so lucky. Your son should be like this." "Yes, Yin Luo, what special methods do you have to raise him? Please share." Nilong Universe Country leader said, "My term is almost up. If I don't find any good seedlings, my position as country leader will be unstable." The emperor of Yin Luo Country laughed heartily. "Actually, it's nothing much. I just want to give him a little more training and more setbacks. He will grow up after some setbacks. Like father, like son. The key is still the bloodline. The bloodline of the same origin is the most important." The Universe Country leaders all nodded. Dragons give birth to dragons. Phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. The son of a mouse can dig holes. They were all normal Universe Country leaders. Their territories weren't big, and they didn't have any special universe secret regions, hence they weren't valued. They only relied on raising good seedlings to increase their performance and extend their terms. Most of the universe countries were ruled by Gue Xing Peak Star Sector. "Right, Yin Kuan, why aren't you saying anything? Are you hiding some good seedlings?" Golden Ape leader asked. Nilong Universe Country leader laughed. "Yin Kuan always likes to hide. It's not very nice." Yin Kuan smiled bitterly. How could he have any good seedlings to hide? All of his assets were here. In the recent few eras, he had been extremely unlucky. Basically, all of his forces had been wiped out. Not a single one of them had joined a third-grade force. It wasn't that he didn't want to speak, but that he didn't know what to say. How embarrassing. Don't force Yin Kuan. The monarch of the Flame Luo Universe monarch glanced at him and laughed. If he had any good seedlings, he would have said it earlier. If you continue to ask, it will make him feel awkward. Yes, Ailang Universe Country leader smiled. Not all country leaders are as powerful as you, Yin Luo, to be able to cultivate such an outstanding talent like the 17th prince. Yin Kuan has only just taken office. After all, he doesn't have much experience. The Fire Flame Universe ruler squinted his eyes and laughed heartily. He raised his wine cup and said, "Come, let's drink." Right at this moment, Monarch! Outside the palace, a handsome man dressed to the nines came in ecstatically, waving his arms wildly. It was hard to imagine that a pinnacle heavenly god powerhouse who held a high position in Yunshin Cosmic Nation would do such a thing. Suddenly, the group of Universe Country leaders was stunned. "Xia, what's wrong?" Monarch Yin Kuan was confused by the strange actions of his left and right hands. He frowned and said, "There are guests here." He had always been calm and collected. How could he suddenly behave like this and be so rude? "Monarch, look at the announcement." The handsome Xia Yi's eyes were wide open, filled with madness and joy, completely ignoring the other Universe Country leaders. What announcement? Monarch Yin Kuan still didn't understand. Xia Yi said, "The 7th Mercenary Alliance's announcement." The 7th Mercenary Alliance. A heavy name came out of Xia Yi's mouth, causing the group of Universe Country leaders to tremble. That was a colossal being, a pinnacle Star World leader. With a stomp of his foot, the entire Universe Country would collapse. Shua! Monarch Yin Kuan's eyes gleamed. Almost instantly, all the singing and dancing stopped, and the image on the screen suddenly changed, showing a simple yet shocking announcement from the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Yunshin Universe Country, Super Genius Lin Feng, has joined the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Just 19 words. However, every word was glaring with gold light, causing people to be unable to open their eyes and tremble. The others didn't know what the 7th Mercenary Alliance was. However, everyone present were universe country leaders. So how could they not know? And the most terrifying and shocking thing wasn't joining the 7th Mercenary Alliance, but super genius. What was a super genius? That was a title that only appeared among the 5 great Leviathans. It meant that any super newbie that was recognized by the 5 great Leviathans, as long as they didn't fall, would definitely become a knight. And they were usually the best amongst the knights. As the leader of Yunshin Universe Country, Yin Kuan was already stunned. He didn't even know who Lin Feng was, nor did he know when such a genius appeared in his universe country. He was completely confused. However, this didn't seem to be important. Congratulations, Yin Kuan. Yin Kuan, you're too unkind, hiding such a good seedling and not saying a word. You're amazing. Wow, he really is a super genius. Yin Kuan, please take care of him in the future. Please remember our agreement to support each other. Support each other. That's crazy. Super geniuses of the 5 great Leviathans. Those super Leviathans carefully nurtured them. Yet only a few were recruited. Most of them are level 1 newbies. Yin Kuan, you're really amazing. The universe country leaders were extremely attentive, their attitudes changing quickly. Lin Feng was from Yunshin Universe Country, and when he becomes a knight in the future, he would definitely remember the benefits of country leader Yin Kuan. It could be said that when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to the heavens. Yin Kuan's future would be limitless. The Flame Luo Universe Country leader, who was surrounded by all the universe country leaders before, now seemed a bit awkward. He couldn't advance, nor could he retreat. The 17th prince joining Treasure Palace was already a joyous matter. It was a level 1 power, but compared to the 5 great Leviathans, it was a world of difference. Only true geniuses would be recruited there. The most terrifying thing was that Yunshin Universe Country's Lin Feng was recruited with the highest honor of being a super genius. To a normal universe country like theirs, it was simply a miracle. He, Flame Luo Universe Country leader, forced a smile, raising his wine glass, moving his thick and sturdy legs, quietly moving closer to Yin Kuan, who was surrounded by all the universe country leaders. Congratulations, Yin Kuan. You're too powerful. I, Flame Luo, am completely impressed. Chapter 2378. Yin Xian Universe Country, Sacred Thunder Tower. This was one of the 3 holy lands, and Lord God Lan Ting was one of the top 3 supermasters in Yin Xian Universe Country. Countless families and clans were racking their brains to send in their outstanding geniuses. Outside the sacred tower, a large group of devout believers knelt on the ground. Inside the sacred tower, all the disciples looked respectfully at the statue of Lord God Lan Ting. Here, Lord God Lan Ting was the heavens. Of course, he did have the ability to control the universe, and he was so strong that even Emperor Yin Kuan had to be wary of him. Teacher, outside the hall, a man in green bowed slightly. Within the hall, Lord God Lan Ting frowned, clearly displeased. He barked, "Qing Lu, didn't I say that no one was to disturb me during the Tao discussion class?" All the disciples below kept quiet out of fear, not daring to speak. "Teacher, I have something important to report," the man in green said respectfully. Lord God Lan Ting snorted coldly. "Speak. The Emperor has invited you." "Teacher," the man in green said, "the leaders of the other 2 holy lands have already gone." "Oh." Lord God Lan Ting relaxed slightly. "What happened? Why are you in such a hurry?" As far as he knew, Emperor Yin Kuan rarely summoned the 3 holy masters, so there had to be something important. The man in green said, "I heard that an incredible genius has appeared in Yin Xian Universe Country and has been recruited by the 7th Mercenary Alliance." What? There was an uproar, and all the disciples looked envious. Even Lord God Lan Ting was surprised and stood up. "Really? No wonder the Emperor is so happy. Good, not bad. I didn't expect Yin Xian Universe Country to have such a genius. Do you know his name? By the way, Who did you recruit him? He's an exceptional genius, teacher, the man in green said with a trembling voice. Pung! It was like a clap of thunder, and all the disciples were dumbfounded. Oh! After the initial shock, Lord Godlon Ting was overjoyed and nodded. Good, very good. Let's go and see the Emperor. Haha, Yin Exine Universe Country is really proud this time. Yes, teacher, the man in green said with a smile. That Lin Feng is really a super genius. Yes, he is indeed a super genius. Divine Lord Lan Ting was grinning from ear to ear. Suddenly, he paused and looked at the azure-robed man in confusion. What did you just say? What's his name? Lin Feng, teacher. The green-robed man looked at his teacher in confusion. He saw that his teacher's eyes were wide open and his face was filled with disbelief. His body was even trembling slightly. Impossible. It can't be that coincidental. They must have the same name. That's right. God Lord Orchid Pavilion clenched his fists, his face ghastly pale. Gulp, 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 gulp. He didn't have the slightest bit of confidence in his heart. The joy from before had long been diluted, leaving behind only endless fear. Even though he was just a low-level divine master, he was still a special genius of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. They didn't even need to make a move. They could just casually send a subordinate to raise his sacred thunder tower to the ground. So, God Lord Lan Ting flew as fast as he could to find accurate information. If it really was the Lin Feng he had failed to kill back then he had to run as far away as possible. Staying here was just waiting for death. Damn it, I can't accept this. God Lord Lan Ting gritted his teeth in anger. He would have to give up the foundation he had painstakingly built in Yun Exine Universe Country. The entire Yunshin Cosmic Nation was celebrating. Even Xing Feng Astral World had sent an envoy to congratulate Universe Country leader Yun Kuan. Yun Kuan was grinning from ear to ear. The other two leaders of the Holy Lands were also grinning from ear to ear, except for God Lord Lan Ting, who had long since disappeared. Joining the 7th Mercenary Alliance as a special genius was an unparalleled honor, not just for a single universe country. Even Xing Feng Astral World benefited from it and was extremely proud. After all, a special genius was a future knight, and a knight from one of the 5 giants. In the future, Xing Feng Astral World would be an important figure who could shake the world with a stomp of his foot. And at this moment, this important figure had just stepped out of the independent space. Oh, Lin Feng looked around curiously. There were modern machines, a world of technology filled with a metallic luster and the flow of time. It was like a 3-dimensional space written by pieces of code. It's Lin Feng. Lin Feng has come out. The eyes of the staff members beside the passage lit up as they shouted, their gazes filled with respect and envy. By now, everyone knew that Lin Feng had been recruited by the 7th Mercenary Alliance as a special genius, and it had spread throughout Xing Feng Astral World. In the Xing Feng Astral Boundary, every special grade genius was highly revered. Quick, go and report tonight by Fu. The head of the staff members shouted. Hello, Lord Lin Feng. This way, please. The rest of the staff members led the way. Lin Feng nodded and followed the group out of the passage. This was an oval-shaped, cylindrical space. It wasn't very big, and after taking the elevator, they quickly arrived at the plaza. It was a refreshing sight, as if they had seen the light of day again. This was another huge plaza. It was different from the crowded plaza from before. This plaza was much more spacious, and there weren't many fighters. However, each one of them didn't seem ordinary, and they all exuded the aura of a great being. There were heavenly gods, low-level divine lords, mid-level divine lords, and even high-level divine lords. It was obvious that they were all experts who had passed the test. There wasn't only one time Void Realm. Since Yishuan had been evaluated as a low-level divine lord by the top-notch artificial intelligence, he had entered the 5th time Void Realm. There was still the 6th time Void Realm and the 7th time Void Realm. So powerful. Lin Feng looked at the towering yellow-skinned giant in the distance. He exuded a terrifying wolf-like aura, and his eyes were extremely ferocious. His aura was at the peak of the Divine Lord realm. Even though Yi Shiwen's fighting power was close to the peak of the Divine Lord realm, there was still a big gap between him and this yellow-skinned giant. That one is also very powerful. Lin Feng quickly sensed another one. It was a masked woman from the devil race. She wasn't tall, but her body was curvaceous and exquisite. Her pitch-black skin reflected countless devil marks that crisscrossed with each other. Her magnificent eyes contained a trace of charming, killing intent. And that one, as Lin Feng looked around, he couldn't help but sigh. There was always a mountain higher than another. He was only at the high-level standard title of the Fifth Void Realm. There were many in the Fifth Void Realm who were stronger than him, let alone the Sixth and Seventh Void Realms. Those beginners standard title experts of the Seventh Void Realm were most likely stronger than him. He was able to join the Seventh Mercenary Alliance as a special genius, not because of his fighting power, but because of his potential. Ha ha! The signature laughter sounded, and instantly, everyone in the plaza focused on him. Chapter 2379. The newcomer was like an immortal descending from the sky. His movements were extremely slow, but he appeared in front of them in an instant. He held a white horsetail whisk and squinted his eyes, making people feel very close to him. He controlled the power of the way of the heavens, bringing a deep sense of oppression, which made the other strong people in the square change their expressions. Venerable. It's the Venerable of the Seventh Mercenary Alliance. There was a series of gasps. The appearance of a Venerable was already shocking, but the appearance of the Venerable of the Five Great Leaders was even more shocking. In the Xing Feng astral boundary, who didn't know the Five Great Leaders' names. They were definitely not comparable to the first-class and second-class forces. To put it bluntly, all the first-class forces added together were not even worth a finger of one of the Five Great Leaders. Venerable Bai Fu. Lin Feng saluted. Ha! Venerable Bai Fu waved his horsetail whisk, and the surrounding time suddenly changed. Let's go. Without any superfluous words, the white light wrapped Lin Feng in a split second, and the two disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. There was a series of exclamations in the surroundings, and everyone was amazed. What a powerful time control. Of course, this is the famous Venerable of the Seventh Mercenary Alliance, Venerable Bai Fu. Wow. The Venerable personally took him away. Who was that young man just now? Idiot, didn't you see the announcement? He must be the special genius Lin Feng that the Seventh Mercenary Alliance just recruited. He is Lin Feng, so young. TSK, this is nothing. There are even younger special geniuses recruited by the Seventh Mercenary Alliance. The sound of the square still seemed to be lingering in his ears, and the surroundings had changed in an instant. Lin Feng stepped on the ground and looked around. He saw that he and Venerable Bai Fu had arrived at a solemn hall. The huge hall's pillars were towering, engraved with lifelike mythical beasts and ferocious beasts. Further in, there were all kinds of strange statues of special life forms. There were tens of thousands of them, and they filled the entire hall. There was a flight of stairs in the middle, and at the top of the stairs was the statue of a half-naked man. He was bold and unrestrained, and he held a terrifyingly large saber that emanated a murderous aura. It was as if he was slaughtering this group of special life forms. Come, Lin Feng, pay your respects to the old ancestor. From now on, you are one of us. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. Ancestor? Lin Feng was slightly startled. Venerable Bai Fu waved his horsetail whisk and chuckled. He is the founder of our Seventh Mercenary Alliance, Patriarch Taichiung. He has a free and easy personality and doesn't stick to one style. After crossing the limit of the heavenly Tao and becoming an almighty, he called himself Patriarch Taichiung. Lin Feng also smiled. The old ancestor was indeed unique. Who would have such a strange title? However, to the almighty, there was not much difference between titles. It was just a name. No one would really think that the old ancestor was poor. That was an almighty. Ancestor Wan Qian had cultivated the 9 heavens of light and darkness to the extreme, but he was still unable to take that step. One could imagine how difficult it was. He had inherited his ancestor's bloodline. If he were to reach the extreme of the 9 heavens of light and darkness, he would also face the same problem. Every Almighty had already surpassed the universe's heavenly Tao and was incomparably powerful. Junior Lin Feng greets the old ancestor. Lin Feng knelt on the large praying mat in front and respectfully kowtowed 3 times, completing the simple joining ceremony of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Kneeling to an Almighty was like kneeling to the heavens and earth. It wasn't shameful. Hee, from now on we are all one of us. Reverend Bai Fu smiled. Our 7th Mercenary Alliance is very famous in the 7th Divine Realm. We have branches in all 29,999 astral worlds. You and I are from the Xing Feng astral world, so we are part of the Xing Feng division. The daily work of the 7th Mercenary Alliance is taken care of by dedicated staff. We don't need to waste time on this. Among the 5 great leaders, our 7th Mercenary Alliance is ranked 4th in terms of the number of reverends. In terms of the total number of members, we are ranked 1st. Therefore, our 7th Mercenary Alliance is spread all over the 7th Divine Realm. We have the most black regions in universe secret realms. After joining the 7th Mercenary Alliance, the biggest benefit is that there are no restrictions. You can go wherever you want, and no one will interfere with your actions, as long as you don't go overboard. According to the rules, the 7th Mercenary Alliance gives special geniuses 3 choices. First, continue to stay in the astral world and train freely. Second, enter the Heaven Bright secret realm to train. Third, directly enter the 7th Divine Realm and join the hidden Reverend training camp. I believe you have already made your choice. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. He knew what Lin Feng wanted. Lin Feng also smiled. The 7th Mercenary Alliance's system was relatively loose. It was indeed more suitable for him than the Time Virtual Company. After all, he was born in the wild and had to go through hardships. He wasn't used to the systematic training. Roaming around and challenging others was what he liked. Lord Bai Fu, may I ask when I can enter the Yellow Spring secret realm? This was what Lin Feng wanted to know the most. The biggest reason why he joined the 7th Mercenary Alliance was because the 7th Mercenary Alliance controlled the Yellow Spring secret realm. Reverend Bai Fu nodded and chuckled. Lin Feng, how much do you know about the universe secret realms? Lin Feng muttered. It's a strange place that was born from the universe's creation. Reverend Bai Fu smiled. The universe secret realms are attached to the universe, but also independent of the universe. Just like inventions and creations, the universe secret realms that are created by chance will have many strange things that even the universe itself can't imagine. These strange things are often accompanied by all kinds of opportunities and dangers. Some of the universe secret realms have huge obstacles at the entrance, and some of the universe secret realms have great terrors inside. Many reverends are often heavily injured or even killed while exploring the universe secret realms. The universe secret realms that the 7th Mercenary Alliance controls, some of them have been completely explored, and some of them have yet to be fully explored. And these unexplored secret realms have too many dangers, so there are restrictions on entry. Lin Feng frowned slightly. What Reverend Bai Fu said meant that the Yellow Spring secret realm had restrictions on entry. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. Since I promised you when I recruited you, I will naturally keep my promise. Although the Yellow Spring secret realm requires reverends to enter, as long as your battle strength reaches the level of a beginner reverend, you can make an exception and enter. Beginner reverend? Lin Feng looked at Reverend Bai Fu. Reverend Bai Fu chuckled. The Reverend Lei Ao you met before is a beginner reverend. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This gap seems to be a bit big. Honorable Leo's ability is far more powerful than mine. I still have a long way to go before I can reach his level. But since Reverend Bai Fu said that, he must have his reasons. If I enter the Yellow Spring secret realm without enough strength, I will only be at a disadvantage. Chapter 2380. Lin Feng pondered for a moment. He didn't have much hope of becoming a venerable in a short period of time. Because of the shackles of the bloodline, while bringing him great battle power, it also deeply limited his development. Even if he had the best bloodline treasure, it would still take a long time to nurture and cultivate it. Having said that, it was a different story for a venerable one to have a combat power of a venerable one. Right now, he was indeed far away from Venerable Lei Ao's battle power. After all, he hadn't even reached the standard of a peak divine master, and there was a huge gap between a peak divine master and a novice venerable. But his current life rating was only at the peak divine master. Now that he had joined the 7th Mercenary Alliance as a special grade genius, with this excellent cultivation platform, his strength in all aspects would be greatly improved. When his life level improved further, his combat strength would reach the level of a primary venerable one. In fact, it was completely possible for him to achieve that. He believed that the upper divine masters in the 7th virtual realm were comparable to novice venerables. However, even if he wanted to increase his battle power, he needed a way. A good way would get twice the result with half the effort. A bad way would waste a lot of effort, especially now that he had joined the 7th Mercenary Alliance, one of the 5 giants. It would be a waste if he didn't make good use of it. Although he had just joined and didn't know much about the 7th Mercenary Alliance, there was someone in front of him who knew everything about it. Lord Bai Fu, what should I do now to increase my battle power with the fastest efficiency? Lin Feng asked humbly. Haha. Venerable Bai Fu narrowed his eyes, as if he already knew that Lin Feng would ask such a question. Actually, every genius that joins will have a period of rapid improvement with the help of the Alliance's various resources. Whether it's the Time Virtual Company or the 7th Mercenary Alliance, it's all because of this reason that every newcomer enters the secret realm to cultivate. Lin Feng nodded. For the 5 giants, below the venerable level was the cultivation period. They would spend a lot of resources and energy to cultivate the genius warriors of their own forces. The treasures and resources in the secret realm were all free to use. The problem was that it was easy to enter, but difficult to leave. Venerable Bai Fu gave him 3 choices. One of them was to enter the Heaven Bright secret realm to cultivate, and there would be venerables to teach him and arrange lessons for him to cultivate step by step. Even if he was a super genius, he couldn't come and go as he pleased and act on his own. After all, if every special class genius was like this, what kind of scandal would it be? If he wanted freedom, he only needed to choose the first option. Lord Bai Fu, the third plan is to directly enter the 7th divine world and join the hidden revered training camp. What do you think? Lin Feng asked curiously. Venerable Bai Fu chuckled and said, the hidden venerable training camp is somewhat similar to the Heaven Bright secret realm, but it is more challenging. To put it simply, the Heaven Bright secret realm is where you learn how to march and fight and simulate the battlefield. The hidden venerable training camp, on the other hand, is where you're led by a general and directly enter the battlefield to fight. Of course, that's for ordinary rookies. The 7th Mercenary Alliance is still quite protective of the special geniuses. Joining the hidden Zune training camp, the survival rate is around 30% to 40%. Lin Feng smiled. A survival rate of 30% to 40% was considered quite a protection. What were the survival rates of the other rookies? However, the 7th Mercenary Alliance was only giving them a choice. It wasn't mandatory. In this old man's opinion, Venerable Bai Fu looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, since you fought your way up through the survival challenge, you shouldn't be unfamiliar with the competition. Moreover, as a special class genius, your safety in the training camp is guaranteed. 30% to 40% is actually more than 70% for you. To raise your battle strength to the venerable realm in the shortest time possible, the hidden Zune training camp is the most suitable. Whether it is the hidden Zune training camp or the Heaven Bright secret realm, every rookies can only choose once. Only rookies can choose. Of course, this is only my opinion. The specific choice is up to you, Lin Feng, Venerable Bai Fu said with a smile. Think about it slowly, there's no rush. Let's go back first. Venerable Yang and Kuei Yi Huangzun will hold a welcome banquet for you. Get to know the various venerables of our Xing Feng branch. All right, Lin Feng nodded. He also needed time to think about it carefully. In addition, He also needed to understand the 7th Mercenary Alliance in detail. After all, everything had to go through his own hands. That was the most direct and most accurate way, at least in his heart. 7th Mercenary Alliance, Xing Feng Branch. Laughter and jubilation could be heard everywhere in the magnificent palace. More than half of the higher-ups of the Xingfeng branch were present, and even some of the venerables were present. It was as if a grand banquet was being held to welcome the addition of the special grade genius, Lin Feng. This was one of the Xingfeng branch's great traditions. Every time a special class genius joined, such a grand banquet would be held. After all, there were too few special class geniuses, and they had to compete with the Time Virtual Company. It wasn't easy. Special class geniuses were future venerables. They were the precious wealth of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Come, let's welcome today's main character, Lin Feng from Yun Xian Cosmic Nation. Venerable Xing Yang laughed heartily as he introduced. As the overall person in charge of the Xingfeng branch, he and Kuei Yi Huangzun were the pillars of the Xingfeng branch. On the side, Venerable Bai Fu, Venerable Nan Qiu, and Venerable Hieo were all smiling as they clapped to welcome him. Lin Feng was a little embarrassed. He was indeed the center of attention. Moreover, every one of them was an upper echelon of the 7th Mercenary Alliance's Xingfeng branch. Among them were some level 1 newbies and other members. Most of them were peak almighty. The weakest were middle almighty and upper almighty. There were as many as 7 venerables. It was hard to imagine. Only a giant like the 7th Mercenary Alliance would have so many venerables. Hello everyone, I'm Lin Feng from Yun Xian Cosmic Nation. I'm very honored to join the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Please take care of me in the future. Lin Feng didn't know what to say and only said a set of routine lines. Haha, what a shy newbie. Bai Fu, is the newbie you recruited good enough? Not bad, not bad. It's better for young people to be humble. Come, everyone, cheers. Let's welcome Lin Feng to officially join our Xing Feng branch family. The venerables took the lead to jeer. In this kind of situation, only the supreme experts dared to speak without the slightest restraint. Everyone laughed endlessly, and the atmosphere was harmonious. Even Lin Feng revealed a smile, feeling warm. The Xing Feng branch was like a big family. It was a comfortable feeling. Come, Lin Feng, let me introduce you to the venerables. Venerable Bai Fu brought Lin Feng and smiled as they walked towards the famous venerables of the Xing Feng branch. Chapter 2381. These are the 2 people in charge of our Xing Feng division. Xingyang Knight, Kuei Yi Huangzun. Bai Fu Knight smiled and introduced. Xingyang Knight is in charge of the various businesses of the Xing Feng division, while Kuei Yi Huangzun is in charge of all the members and fighters. Junior Lin Feng greets the 2 knights. Lin Feng said respectfully, "Ha, no need to be so polite. We'll be a family from now on." Xingyang Knight smiled and lifted Lin Feng up. There were 2 antennae on his round head, and when he smiled, he looked very friendly. Work hard on your cultivation. Don't waste your talent. Kuei Yi Huangzun said solemnly with his hands behind his back. Yes, Lord Kuei Yi. Lin Feng nodded. Xingyang Knight snorted and glanced at Kuei Yi Huangzun unhappily. He then said to Lin Feng, "Don't mind him. Kuei Yi's temperament is just like that. He's actually a good person and loyal. Many of our geniuses have received his guidance." Lin Feng nodded lightly. Kuei Yi Huangzun's face was full of holes and was somewhat ugly. He looked like a demon and a human, expressionless and somewhat ferocious. However, since Xingyang Knight said so, then it should be true. As long as you're willing to learn, I'll teach you. Kuei Yi Huangzun said. I'll work hard, Lord Kuei Yi. Lin Feng said humbly. Bai Fu Knight chuckled and tried to smooth things over. All right, Lin Feng, I'll bring you to meet the other knights. As some of them are in the universe secret regions, some are in the 7th God world, and some are in closed-door training, only a portion of them are here. Oh, Lin Feng replied, adding Xingyang Knight and Kuei Yi Huangzun. There were already 7 knights, and this was only a portion of them? Lord Bai Fu, how many knights are there in our Xing Feng division? Lin Feng asked curiously. Venerable Bai Fu chuckled and said, "There are too many to count. Currently, there are close to 20 of them in Xing Feng's astral boundary." Nearly 20. Lin Feng was truly shocked. Venerable Bai Fu said, "Although there are close to 20 venerables, the venerables of our Xing Feng branch aren't that strong. Only Kuei Yi is Huang Zun, the only Huang Zun." Huang Zun. Venerables were divided into elementary, intermediate, advanced, and peak. Above the Venerable One was Huang Zun. The seventh divine world has 29,999 astral realms, and each astral realm has 20. How many venerables are there? Lin Feng was truly shocked. Moreover, this was only the number of venerables in the 7th Mercenary Alliance. What about the other 4 big shots? After all, the 7th Mercenary Alliance only ranked 4th in terms of the number of venerables. Actually, it's normal. Lin Feng thought about it carefully and felt relieved. With a complete cultivation system, various nature's way, and suitable secret realms to nurture, as long as one's bloodline was sufficient, it wasn't really difficult to become a venerable one. This was because one only needed to master a complete way of the heavens. Time, space, or other fusion laws. Those who were good at the soul could master the way of the heavens through their soul. Those who were good at the body could become a Vajra venerable. Every life in the universe had the opportunity to become a venerable one. This was because every life had its own characteristics and strengths. By continuously strengthening it, when it accumulated enough strength, it would naturally be able to advance to another realm. The universe nurtured and contained all living things. Naturally, it wouldn't eliminate the possibility of any life's advancement. Venerable Nan Qiu, Venerable He Ao, Venerable Yun He, and Lin Feng knew and befriended each of them. Basically, the venerables who came were quite friendly. They didn't put on airs and were all smiling. After all, they knew what it meant to be a special class genius. Becoming a venerable one was only a matter of time. Moreover, it was very likely that they would become powerful existences on par with Huang Zun. Huang Zun could easily kill 10 ordinary venerables. This was the suppression of strength. Just like Kuei Yi and Huang Zun, all the venerables present were no match for him, even if they joined forces. Let me introduce you to Lin Feng. These are first-level newcomers who haven't entered the secret realm yet. They are Superior Divine Lord Yuan Shiyu and Intermediate Divine Lord Ouyang Yi. They were selected by the 7th Virtual Realm and the 6th Virtual Realm, respectively. Lin Feng nodded with a smile. "Hello, everyone." "Hello, Lin Feng. It's an honor to meet you." They were of the same generation, so they naturally got along better. Yuan Shiyu was a human powerhouse who was like a big boy, and Ouyang, he was a beautiful demon fox. Although Yuan Shiyu and Ouyang, you were above Lin Feng in terms of strength, their status was lower than Lin Feng. Even when they joined, there wasn't such a grand banquet. Nonetheless, the two of them were not arrogant because they knew very well that there was no difference between venerable ones and those below. They were only slightly more powerful than Lin Feng at the moment. Once Lin Feng came out of the heavenly brilliant secret realm, they would soon be thrown beyond the clouds. For example, Yuan Shiyu was born in the royal family and had a high status in the Xing Feng astral plane. But so what? After entering the 7th virtual realm, it was all empty. Strength was the only thing that mattered. "Later, Brother Lin, you must come to my place as a guest. I've arranged some entertainment for you." Yuan Shiyu raised his eyebrows and said to Lin Feng. Ouyang, he snorted and blushed. "You're so naughty." Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. "No need to be so polite, Brother Yuan Shiyu." Of course. Brother Lin, don't be so polite with me. Otherwise, you won't treat me as a friend." Yuan Shiyu was incomparably enthusiastic. He grabbed Lin Feng and chatted with him. Haha, of course not. Lin Feng didn't know what to do with Yuan Shiyu. He could only smile. "All right, Brother Yuan Shiyu, you're from the royal family?" "Yes." Yuan Shiyu's eyes lit up. He was naturally smart. "If Brother Lin needs any help, I'll go through water and tread on fire." "It's my duty." Lin Feng nodded. "There's something that I might need Brother Yuan Shiyu's help with." "Brother Lin, please tell me." Yuan Shiyu's expression was serious and righteous. It's not convenient here. When I have time, I'll personally visit Brother Yuan Shiyu, Lin Feng said. Good. Yuan Shiyu patted his chest and raised his wine cup. Come, let's drink, let's drink. Lin Feng smiled. She was indeed worthy of being a member of the imperial family. She was meticulous in all aspects and did things flawlessly. Having such a friend was actually good for him in the Xing Feng astral plane. During the banquet, Lin Feng had made many friends and met many higher-ups of the 7th Mercenary Alliance's Xing Feng astral plane. However, he was also very tired. I'm really not suitable for this kind of occasion. Lin Feng returned to his residence and smiled bitterly. The 7th Mercenary Alliance had a huge, independent territory. As a special-grade genius, Lin Feng had naturally been arranged by Venerable Yang. A huge modified star system, whether it was cultivation or residence, was quite perfect. What kind of identity was worthy of what kind of treatment? Hidden Venerable Training Camp. Oh, let me see what it is. Lin Feng activated his AI and quickly looked through it. Chapter 2382. The Hidden Elder Training Camp is open to 29,999 astral realms. All newcomers can join. Every era is an elimination cycle. Those who can't reach the goal will be eliminated. Those who can reach the goal will stay. Those who exceed the goal will be promoted to the next level. They will leave after breaking through to the Venerable Realm. The requirements for each level are as follows. Lin Feng browsed through the information carefully. He quickly finished reading and had a general understanding of the Hidden Elder Training Camp. The training camp was a cruel place. Survival of the fittest. Those who could survive would naturally be promoted and increase their strength. For those ordinary newcomers, the Hidden Elder Training Camp was a place where they could become stronger. They might not be as talented as others, or they might not be lucky enough. But the Hidden Elder Training Camp was an opportunity. As long as you could survive and train, you would be able to break through your current limit and become a venerable one day. Under the pressure of a desperate situation, many cultivators would explode with the will and potential to survive. It was the same in the Hidden Elder Training Camp. Therefore, the competition there was very big. The death rate was also very high. But why did the 7th Mercenary Alliance maintain the Hidden Elder Training Camp? Because venerables were existences of the heavenly Tao. Even 10,000 God-ranked experts couldn't compare to one venerable. Especially since the 7th Mercenary Alliance had the 4th highest number of venerables. They needed to increase the number of venerables. No wonder the death rate of special geniuses is 30% to 40%. Lin Feng finally understood. Special geniuses didn't mean they were stronger than other level 1 or 2 geniuses. Just like Hu Jinyu, Lin Feng wasn't as strong as Hu Jinyu. Special geniuses only meant they had more potential. But in the Hidden Elder Training Camp, potential couldn't be turned into survival ability. Everyone spoke based on their strength. There were no level 1 or 2 geniuses. Ordinary newcomers killing special geniuses could be found everywhere. After all, those who could join the 7th Mercenary Alliance, even if they were ordinary newcomers, weren't weaklings. They were also very strong. Moreover, they might have a stronger sense of urgency and crazier fighting spirit than those level 1 geniuses and special geniuses. 29999 Astral Realms, all newcomers. TSK. Interesting. Lin Feng's blood was boiling and his heart was itching. To be honest, he hadn't had enough of the time Void Realm Survival Challenge. But there wasn't much point in continuing, so he left. The Hidden Sovereign Training Camp was undoubtedly a new opportunity. Over there, one's combat strength would definitely increase rapidly. The opponents there were much stronger than those in the Survival Challenge. After all, they were all carefully selected genius powerhouses from various astral realms. One era, one settlement. I can leave at any time. It's much better than the Heaven Brilliant Secret Realm. Lin Feng pondered. He could directly enter the Tianhuang Mystery Realm, but he didn't know when he would be able to come out. Although there were venerables to guide him, he mainly cultivated the 9 heavens of light and darkness. So who could really teach him? Moreover, compared to meditating, he preferred this kind of improvement through battle. The hidden Zune training camp was very suitable for him. There, he could raise his battle prowess to the level of an elementary venerable and enter the netherworld secret realm. But first, I need to settle the matter of Xing Feng's astral boundary. Lin Feng naturally didn't want to enter the hidden venerable training camp with too many unresolved matters that would distract him. Although his current strength was unremarkable in the 7th Mercenary Alliance, in the Xing Feng star boundary, it was actually already top-notch. His battle prowess was close to that of a peak divine master. How powerful was that? It's time to take revenge for teacher. Lin Feng had a clear plan in his heart. There were some matters that did not need to be delayed. It was time for him to fulfill a wish. Kill his enemy and pay tribute to the spirit of his teacher, true dragon monarch. Outside the Milky Way supermassive black hole, Devil Godly Sure was wearing a black malevolent battle armor. He had a horn on his head and stood at the peak of the void. He was like an otherworldly devil god with a domineering aura. At the center of his horn, there was a dark meat lump that slightly protruded. It contained a great power. His arms were crossed in front of his chest. He was still waiting for the Milky Way supermassive black hole to be destroyed and for the black hole chaotic origin heart to appear. Trash from the whole clan. How stubborn. Devil Godly Sure was not interested in dealing with the whole clan. It was just like how he wasn't interested in dealing with the West Eel mercenary group. Killing them would only spread the news. But now it didn't matter. Everyone would compete fairly. Whoever had the capability would get the black hole chaotic origin heart. Devil Godly Sure was absolutely confident. He was a peak heavenly deity expert, one of the strongest experts in Yun, Xian Cosmos Nation. Dealing with a mere whole clan was an easy task. Not far away from Devil Godly Sure, there were a total of 10 Cosmos ships docked. They came from a huge clan in Yun, Xian Cosmos Nation, the whole clan. Patriarch Wang Dingquan was close to the peak heavenly deity realm. The previous failure did not cause Wang Dingquan to lose his confidence. Being the patriarch, he had seen all kinds of storms and waves. The previous conflict with Lin Feng was just a small matter. If he were to be frightened to death by the slightest movement, how could he survive in Yun, Xian Cosmos Nation? Risks and benefits always went hand in hand. Devil Godly Sure would definitely not expect that I have brought a high-tech weapon, the suppressing black light cannon. It is comparable to a critical strike from a peak heavenly deity expert. Even if I can't kill him, I should be able to heavily injure him. But my true opponent isn't him. Wang Dingquan frowned. His gaze landed on a patch of darkness behind him. He felt fear in his heart. Over there might be a super expert from the Steelbone Cosmos Ship Company, a member of the Ministry of War. His strength was something that even one of the 3 great sacred masters, Godlord Lan Ting, was deeply afraid of. The scene that day was still fresh in his mind. But he might not be there. Even if he is, with the 3 superpowers fighting, I still have a chance. Our Cosmos ships have more. As long as I can get the black hole chaotic origin heart, with 10 Cosmos ships flying in different directions, it will be hard for the other party to lock onto me. Wang Dingquan pursed his lips. His fear was not without reason, because in the distant darkness, there was indeed a figure that had turned illusory. He was hidden in the darkness, Wu Sanjian. His cheeks were thin, and his pair of eagle eyes were filled with coldness. He was like an unsheathed treasure sword. That day, when he appeared, it was not to help Lin Feng. Instead, it was to protect the reputation of the Steelbone Cosmos Ship Company. After teaching God, Lord Lan Ting a lesson, he naturally continued waiting. After all, this was the black hole chaotic origin heart. It was definitely worth spending a huge amount of time on it. As for the group of ants in front of him, Wu Sanjian did not care. He could easily kill them all. He had not acted yet because he did not want to alert the enemy. Suddenly, spatial ripple, Wu Sanjian suddenly opened his eyes. They shot out a sharp light. The spatial treasure's fixed point teleportation. Who is coming? Chua. Wu Sanjian's figure flashed and disappeared into the darkness. Chapter 2383. Bermuda Triangle, fixed point spatial teleportation. It was a simple yet highly practical ability. In some regions where teleportation could not be done, such as places with extremely far-away wormholes, one could set a fixed spatial coordinate and teleport through a long distance. But there were limitations to fixed-point spatial teleportation. Firstly, one had to be on the same plane. For instance, it was impossible to teleport between two black regions. Secondly, spatial teleportation itself was limited by distance. Even so, the demand for this type of spatial treasure remained high. Even if the distance was limited, one could still teleport to a nearby region through a spatial teleportation array. The most important destination of fixed-point spatial teleportation would definitely be a remote region unknown to others. Finally, and most importantly, fixed-point spatial teleportation had a certain degree of danger. During the process of teleporting through spatial ripples, the chances of an error were very small. But it might not be the same for teleporting from one end to the other. It was just like how one could not casually teleport in a Cosmos secret realm. Because at the moment of teleportation, if an expert attacked, one would die a few hundred times. Compared to teleportation, fixed-point spatial teleportation required a longer period of time and was much more dangerous. Chua, Wu Sanjian unsheathed his sword. His eyes flashed coldly. Even though he did not know who it was that executed fixed-point spatial teleportation, the other party had clearly come prepared. His target was naturally the black hole chaotic origin heart. The expert who executed fixed-point spatial teleportation was definitely an extremely dangerous competitor. Wu Sanjian would naturally not waste such a good opportunity. No matter what, he had to strike first. Qi, a terrifying sword Qi pierced through. It contained the law of dark and the law of space. At the moment of attack, dark ripples were formed. It was like the fangs of a demon, ruthlessly grabbing at the fixed spatial coordinate. Even if it could not kill the other party, it would at least heavily injure him. At the very least, it would destroy the fixed spatial coordinate. Wu Sanjian was a member of the Steelbone Cosmos Ship Company's Ministry of War. Even though he was a lower-stage godmaster, his strength was comparable to a middle-stage godmaster. This sword strike would definitely kill God Master Lanting. Peak Heaven God. Wu Sanjian had already faintly sensed the other party's life aura. He felt much more relieved. He feared God Masters the most. As for Heaven Gods, even if they were peak Heaven Gods, their strength was limited. This sword strike was sufficient to defeat the other party. But suddenly, pong, pong, pong. One by one, triangles suddenly appeared at the spatial coordinates, causing the spatial energy to change. In an instant, countless triangles wrapped around Wu Sanjian's sword Qi like a circle, crushing it and twisting it in an instant, turning it into a huge triangle. The spatial energy fluctuations converged from all directions, and in an instant, it had turned from defense to offense, completely grasping the initiative. What? Wu Sanjian was stunned. He did not expect that the sword move that he had infused with 80% of his strength would be so easily broken. Moreover, it had fallen into the opponent's control in an instant. Countless spatial triangles overlapped the space, completely blocking his escape route. Extremely terrifying. How could he be so powerful? Wu Sanjian's heart was filled with shock and disbelief. Even the experts of the General Division do not have such strength. He is only a peak heavenly god. How can he have the strength of an expert of the King Division? In the Steelbone Universe Ship Company, the General Division was made up of upper god lords, while the King Division was made up of peak god lords. Before the person appeared, he had already been trapped. What kind of strength was this? It's over. Wu Sanjian's expression turned pale. He was clear that he had kicked an iron board this time. He could only blame himself for being too greedy. He was blinded by the black hole chaotic origin heart and thought that this was the Yun Xin cosmic nation, where no expert could threaten him. He had forgotten what his teacher told him that day. There was always someone better than you. Triple sword chop. Wu Sanjian gritted his teeth. Even though he was in a hopeless situation, he did not want to give up. His bloodline erupted, and he executed his strongest move, attacking that endless triangular space. Strands of sword Qi turned into strands, condensing into 3 treasured swords in the space. They formed a straight line, forming an enormous treasured sword. Chi! Wu Sanjian's eyes turned red. His desire to live was incomparably strong. But in the blink of an eye, a saber appeared in front of him. It was filled with tyrannical inscriptions that came from the sky, forcing the treasured sword down. Dang! The saber suppressed the treasured sword. Everything had its weakness. The treasured sword in Wu Sanjian's hand fell. His expression was pale and ugly. The opponent was too strong. Ha ha! A hearty laughter sounded by Wu Sanjian's ears. It was somewhat familiar. Senior Wu, long time no see. Is this how you welcome me? Under Wu Sanjian's stunned gaze, the enormous triangular space in front of him gradually shrunk. The space changed and disappeared, revealing a human youth in loose martial attire. He was dressed casually, as if he was here for a vacation. He did not even fight, but his appearance was incomparably familiar. Lin Feng. Wu Sanjian's eyes widened. He was abnormally stunned. Long time no see, Senior Wu. Lin Feng raised his hand, causing the saber calamity to leave Wu Sanjian's treasured sword and return to his hand. He smiled at Wu Sanjian. A long time no see. Wu Sanjian opened his mouth. He was slightly stunned. Lin Feng would naturally not blame Wu Sanjian. From his standpoint, it was understandable for him to do so. Moreover, he owed Senior Wu a huge favor. If not for Senior Wu's help that day, he would have died in the hands of God Lord Lan Ting. It was also because of this that he had a deep impression of the Steelbone Universe Ship Company. Before joining the 7th Mercenary Alliance, he had always been determined to join the Steelbone Universe Ship Company. So, Lin Feng, you have joined the 7th Mercenary Alliance now, and you are an exceptional genius? Wu Sanjian was now speaking to Lin Feng. He felt a deep pressure. He had never imagined that in just 1,000 years, the weak human youth had grown into such a terrifying existence. His combat power was comparable to a peak god lord. The members of the King Division of the Steelbone Universe Ship Company were only SOSO. Senior Wu, I, Lin Feng, am eternally grateful for your life-saving grace. Lin Feng took out the universe crystal and handed it over with both hands. I owed Senior Wu 1,000 universe crystals that day. Today, I will return it 10 times. No, no, no. Lin Feng, Brother Lin, don't joke. How would I dare to accept it? Wu Sanjian was a little flustered. He could neither advance nor retreat. What a joke. How could he take 10,000 universe crystals from Lin Feng? The 1,000 universe crystals that day was just a joke. He didn't really want Lin Feng to repay him. Take it, Senior. This is a small token of appreciation from Junior. Lin Feng didn't wait for Wu Sanjian to explain. He stuffed it into Wu Sanjian's hands and then took out 3 middle-grade Heaven's Path True Treasures and handed them over. These 3 middle-grade Heaven's Path True Treasures, 1 is Space type and 2 are Dark type. They are very suitable for Senior. I hope Senior Wu won't decline. Lin Feng was truly grateful to Wu Sanjian. Without Senior Wu's whipping that day, how could he be where he was now? That day, he knew that Senior Wu's 1,000 universe crystals was just to motivate him and give him a goal to strive for. Because of this, he was even more grateful to Senior Wu. Chapter 2384. This. Wu Sanjian looked at the treasures, his eyes glowing and his heart beating fast. He could not ask for more treasures like this. Each one could greatly improve his strength. After hesitating for a long time, under Lin Feng's persistent hospitality, Wu Sanjian finally accepted it with a red face. Then, it would be impolite of me to refuse. Although he felt ashamed, Wu Sanjian immediately let it go when he remembered Lin Feng's identity and status. He was a special class genius of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. These treasures were not worth mentioning to Lin Feng, so he accepted them. The human youth in front of him was a future venerable one. Wu Sanjian was overjoyed when he remembered that he had unintentionally saved Lin Feng's life. A venerable one's favor was much more important than any treasure. Senior Wu, Lin Feng has a request, Lin Feng said. Brother Lin, you don't have to be so polite. We can call each other as equals, Wu Sanjian said immediately. He did not dare to let Lin Feng call him senior again. He could not accept it. The difference in their status was too great. Lin Feng smiled and did not mind. It's like this. The super black hole in front of us is my hometown, I know. Wu Sanjian was knowledgeable and smart. He understood without Lin Feng saying the second half of the sentence. In fact, from the moment Lin Feng appeared here, he already had a rough idea. The hometown of a special class genius of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. What a joke. He would not dare to touch it even if he had 10 times the courage. Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Thank you, Senior Wu, for your help. Lin Feng smiled. You're welcome. Wu Sanjian also smiled. He finally calmed down a little. If Datong knew that Brother Lin was on a meteoric rise and that your strength had improved by leaps and bounds, he would be very pleased. Lin Feng smiled. That day, Senior Qi Datong's righteous help was engraved in his heart. Senior Wu, do you know where Senior Qi Datong is? Lin Feng asked. He just completed a mission. He should be resting in the Yun Xin Cosmic Nation branch now, Wu Sanjian muttered. Lin Feng nodded. Please wait for a moment, Senior Wu. I'll take care of some things and return to Yunxin Cosmic Nation with you soon. All right. Wu Sanjian's gaze fell forward. He knew what Lin Feng wanted to do. Is there anything I can help you with? Wu Sanjian asked casually because he knew what Lin Feng's answer would be. No need, Senior Wu, Lin Feng said with a smile. Outside, the Milky Way super black hole, Demon Godly Sure was naturally domineering. The horns on his head seemed to be able to pierce a hole in a star. His disdainful aura made people shudder. He had been a peak heavenly god for countless universe epochs, but due to the limitations of his talent and bloodline, he had never been able to become a divine master. This time, it was undoubtedly the best opportunity. We reached the peak of heavenly god together, and now Qi Wuming is a higher divine master with a high position in Xing Feng astral sector. As for me, I'm still at the peak of heavenly god. In Yunxin Cosmic Nation, monkeys call themselves kings. Demon Godly Sure gritted his teeth. He was upset when he thought of this. Everyone had the same starting point, but he lost at the middle stage. He couldn't cross the threshold of peak heavenly god. As long as he could break through this level and become a divine master, he could become as powerful as Wild King Qi Wuming. He could even stand higher than him. True Dragon. Demon Godly Sure looked at the super black hole in front of him. His memory was still clear. The most talented and the luckiest? Haha, what's the use? He still died in our hands. He was the first to fall. A true master doesn't look at who is the strongest, but who has the last laugh. It's a pity that his chaos treasure is still missing. Damn True Dragon. He didn't let us off easy even if he died. He had to take the chaos treasure away. Demon Godly Sure clenched his claws. He was furious when he thought of it. If he had the chaos treasure, he would have become a divine master long ago. He could have even become a venerable peak heavenly god. Demon Godly Sure was startled. He sensed an aura coming, and he became alert. A fast light came from afar, reaching him almost instantly. Human? Demon Godly Sure looked at the human youth in front of him, frowning. He was dressed in loose, casual martial attire and had short black hair. The expression on his face was as calm as the surface of an ancient well. Only his eyes were shining brightly like the stars, as if he could see through everything. Hull Clan spaceship. Patriarch, Patriarch. The clansmen in charge of monitoring shouted in panic. Inside the spaceship, the clansmen were all mobilized, breaking the usual silence. Every time there was a commotion, it meant that there was a big battle or some shocking news. What happened? Wang Dingquan slowly walked out of the cultivation room with a frown on his face. Reporting to Patriarch, another peak heavenly god expert has arrived. What? Wang Dingquan's face changed. He walked to the control panel in 2 steps. He and Demon God Li Shizheng were already troublesome enough. There was also a possible member of the Steel Bone Spaceship Company. One more incense burner, one more ghost. Now, there was another competitor and a peak heavenly god at that. The situation suddenly became chaotic. Enlarge it for me, Wang Dingquan said in a low voice. Yes, Patriarch. The virtual screen on the spaceship was enlarged. The image zoomed in from afar, and the target was Demon Godly Sure. That mysterious, peak heavenly god had just landed and appeared in front of Demon Godly Sure. Oh, Wang Dingquan looked carefully. He only saw a back, but from the figure, he could tell that it was a human expert. Moreover, he seemed to be looking for Demon Godly Sure. Is he Demon Godly Sure's helper? Wang Dingquan shivered inwardly. If that was the case, they would be in big trouble. Demon Godly Sure alone was enough to give him a headache. Now, there was another peak heavenly god who was as strong as Demon Godly Sure. Their chances would be even slimmer. Or Demon Godly Sure's enemy? Wang Dingquan couldn't help but feel excited as this thought popped up in his mind. If that was the case, wouldn't he be able to take advantage of the situation? When two tigers fight, one is bound to be injured. At that time, he would be able to take advantage of the situation and maybe even reap a great harvest. But why does this human youth's back look a little familiar? Wang Dingquan frowned, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. At this time, Lin Feng and Demon Godly Sure were standing opposite each other. Demon Godly Sure was also a peak heavenly god, but he didn't dare to make a move. He just looked at Lin Feng with extreme vigilance. However, Lin Feng's gaze made him feel a chill in his heart. You are Demon Godly Sure, right? Lin Feng suddenly said. Chapter 2385. The calm voice didn't seem to want an answer. Demon Godly Sure frowned. Looking at this strange young man in front of him, he felt a little uneasy. Although the other party didn't show any power, the aura of a strong warrior emitted from his bones made him a little scared. He always felt that something bad was about to happen. Who are you? Demon Godly Sure was strong on the outside. He twisted his claws, revealing a dense black aura. Me? Lin Feng's voice was calm, his expression indifferent. I am the disciple of the true dragon. As soon as he said that, a golden ring covered in universe runes was thrown out. It spun rapidly in the air, twisting it and forming a strangling force that sealed the space. Demon Godly Sure's eyes widened in shock, the shocking words still lingering in his ears. In the next moment, the Wu Di universe ring fell, closed, contracted, and tightly bound him. Rays of golden light wrapped around Demon Godly Sure, swallowing all the black aura around him. The Wu Di universe ring was like a knife, piercing deep into Demon Godly Sure's flesh, and golden rings of light wrapped around him. Woo woo woo. Demon Godly Sure's eyes were filled with shock, but he couldn't say anything. The power of a medium-level heavenly treasure was fully displayed, plus Lin Feng's power was comparable to a peak god master. How could a mere peak god realm warrior resist? The difference in power was a whole level. In the survival challenge, how many experts were strong enough to kill Demon Godly Sure? However, under Lin Feng's Wu Di universe ring, they were all smashed to death. Now, it was easy to capture Demon Godly Sure. He didn't kill him because Lin Feng knew that Hui would want to see Demon Godly Sure die with his own eyes. On the whole clan's spaceship, the whole clan members were all stunned. Even the clan leader Wang Dingquan, whose power was close to peak god realm, stared at each other in shock. He was just thinking about reaping the benefits, but who would have thought that Demon Godly Sure would be captured in the blink of an eye? That was a peak god realm warrior. In the entire Yun Xian Universe Nation, there were only a few who were stronger than Demon Godly Sure. Right now, it was as if he didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. He was being hung up and beaten like this without even the slightest bit of resistance. Capture him alive. Wang Dingquan was stunned. He naturally knew that it was much harder to capture someone alive than to kill them. In other words, the human youth in front of him who was dressed in a casual and loose martial attire was much stronger than Demon Godly Sure. Why does he look so familiar the more I look at him? Patriarch Wang Dingquan was half confused and half puzzled. From every angle, Wang Dingquan could only barely make out a little bit of his side profile. Most of the time, he could only see his back. The other party seemed to have done it on purpose, not allowing him to see the whole thing. The combination of mystery and terror made Wang Dingquan's heart beat faster for some reason. There was an inexplicable fear an indescribable sense of danger. Who is he? Whoosh. His eyes suddenly lit up, only to see that the young man had already turned his head, as if he knew that he was peeking. His pair of bright eyes flickered with a faint luster, and he also looked over, instantly seeing Lu Shan's true appearance. It wasn't just familiar, it was extremely familiar. It's him. The other whole clansmen also saw this and gasped in astonishment. Of course, they would never forget how terrifying this human youth was. The memory was deeply imprinted in their minds and could not be erased. Wang Dingquan's eyes widened. He had a particularly deep impression of this human youth. He had tried to kill him several times before, but he had never succeeded. He had almost been killed instead. This human youth had even managed to injure God, Lord Orchid Pavilion. He was back. No! Wang Dingquan was scared out of his wits. He immediately reacted and tried to maneuver the spaceship to escape. However, the human youth on the screen had already disappeared. In an instant, terrifying rays of blade light suddenly appeared, covering the sky and covering the sun. 10 rays of blade light slashed toward 10 huge spaceships. Boom, 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 boom. Wherever the blade light went, explosions rang out incessantly. 9 spaceships exploded, leaving only the one Wang Dingquan was in. It was almost shattered into pieces. However, it was not that Lin Feng's attack was not enough, but that he had shown mercy. Yu. Wang Dingquan looked in horror at Lin Feng, who was descending from the sky. His body trembled like a frightened rabbit. I want you to die with a clear understanding. Lin Feng's voice faded. The fear in Wang Dingquan's eyes turned into endless remorse and silence. Even if he was unwilling, what could he do? This was the cruelty of the universe. The weak were prey to the strong. If one's skills were inferior, only death awaited. He had died with a clear understanding. Bang! Wang Dingquan killed himself. As the leader of the whole clan, he had saved his last dignity. This was an enemy he had no chance of defeating. The difference in their strength could no longer be described as big, but huge. Boom! The last spaceship exploded. The whole clansmen were all wiped out. Lin Feng's expression was calm as he stared at the space before him. He did not care about joy, anger, sorrow, or joy. To him, this was just a trivial matter to settle some grudges. Swish! Wu Sanjian appeared. The whole clan has been wiped out. The news should spread soon, Wu Sanjian said. It's okay. I'll just buy this star zone, Lin Feng said. I believe the king won't make things difficult for me. Wu Sanjian smiled. Why would he make things difficult for you? He's happy. Brother Lin, you're willing to leave a star zone in Yun Xin Cosmic Nation. It's like a promise from a future night. You don't have to buy it. He'll give it to you, as much as you want. Lin Feng smiled. When the 7th Mercenary Alliance's Xingfeng branch held a banquet for him, they invited Yun Xin Cosmic Nation's king, Yun Kun. They had met once before, so it was not a problem to do him favor. If he bought this star zone, the entire universe would be his. No one would touch the Milky Way super black hole. Although he was not afraid, this kind of small matter was troublesome. The whole clan is done for this time, Wu Sanjian said. Brother Lin, you don't have to do anything. Yun Kun will soon uproot the whole clan's power in the Cosmic Nation. He won't leave them any way out. The universe has always been like this, Lin Feng said. Yes. Wu Sanjian felt the same way. Without strength, one was destined to always be at the mercy of others. Strength was the real truth. Senior Wu, wait for me here for a moment. I'll go take care of some things first. I'll go back to Yin Xin Cosmic Nation with you later to see Senior Qi. Let's have a drink together, Lin Feng smiled. Okay. Wu Sanjian smiled. He glanced sideways at Demon Godly Shi, who looked like a dumpling. He had a rough idea. Lin Feng smiled and said goodbye to Wu Sanjian. He grabbed Demon Godly Shi and entered the Milky Way super black hole. Chapter 2386. The Milky Way, the Great Wall. So this is the treasure of chaos. Lin Feng sighed. Every time he saw the Great Wall, he had a different feeling. As his strength increased, the resonance between him and the Great Wall became stronger and stronger. His sense of intimacy with this treasure of chaos also became deeper. But the deeper he felt, the more shocked he was, and the more insignificant he felt. Only venerables can control this treasure, and they might not be ordinary venerables. Lin Feng knew. His teacher was betrayed because of this treasure of chaos. Actually, it was not so unjust. After all, this treasure was too terrifying. Not to mention the master of Dark Region. Even immortal realm experts would go crazy for it. Even venerables might fight for it. A sense of intimacy. Lin Feng smiled. Maybe it was because the blood of Huaxia flowed in his body. The invisible power wrapped around demonic god Li Shi. Looking at his frightened and shocked face, Lin Feng said, "This is the Great Wall, the treasure of the chaos that you've been dreaming of. That day, you conspired with Mad King Qi Wuming to scheme against the true Dragon Sovereign. It was for this, right?" Whoosh, the golden ring opened slightly. Demon god Li Shi finally revealed half of his face and could speak. "No, it was not me. It was Qi Wuming. He killed the true dragon." At this time, Li Shi no longer had the arrogance of a demon god. Not only did his words lack confidence, but his voice was also filled with fear. He was completely scared. He was scared by this human youth who was at the peak of the heavenly god realm. Their life levels were almost the same, but their combat power was world apart. He did not know how this human youth cultivated to be so terrifying. "Don't worry. Qi Wuming will come down to accompany you soon," Lin Feng said. Demon god Li Shi glared. "Impossible. Qi Wuming has a high position in the Xing Feng astral plane. He is also a superior divine lord. You are no match for him." Lin Feng said, "Oh." Demon god Li Shi bared his teeth, his eyes cold. "He is my brother. If you kill me, he will avenge me." Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. "Is that so?" Demon god Li Shi coldly snorted. "If you let me go now, we'll pretend that nothing happened. From now on, the well water won't interfere with the river water." The matter of the true dragon was instigated by Qi Wuming. "In fact, it has nothing to do with me. Even if you want to take revenge, you should go find him." "Oh," Lin Feng replied. Seeing that Lin Feng was unmoved, Demon god Li Shi said, "Or I can help you deal with Qi Wuming. He trusts me very much. We can make a plan, and when he is unprepared, you can take his life." Lin Feng smiled. "We're here. We're here." Demon god Li Shi was still a little dazed, but at this moment, he found himself in a chaotic airflow. Dense mist curled up, mountain ranges stacked on top of each other, and the wild roars of ancient beasts seemed to resound in his ears, as if he was in a universe secret realm. Deja vu. Demon god Li Shi's eyes had a trace of confusion. "Li Shi," an angry voice came from the void, and the huge dragon body suddenly appeared in the sky, roaring like thunder. "Do you still recognize this place?" Demon god Li Shi looked around, frowning. He seemed to have some impression, but he couldn't remember. "This is the place where you and Qi Wuming sneak attacked and harmed Master." En's voice caused the space to shake violently. There was a trace of desolation in the grief and indignation, and the sky seemed to be raining blood. Lin Feng could empathize with her as she revealed her true feelings. He could completely understand it. He was not only loyal to Master, but also had a different kind of feeling. He had been suppressing it in his heart before, and there was no way to vent it. Because the enemy was too strong, he couldn't take revenge. But today, he could finally get what he wanted. "Humph!" Demon god Li Shi disdainfully snorted and looked up at him. "If you have the ability to let me go, I will fight with you. Revenge for the trash true dragon? What good karma is there? Every day in the universe, a bunch of experts die. It's either you die or he dies. The death of the true dragon can only be blamed on his own inferior skills. So, you'll die today." Lin Feng's voice sounded indifferently, causing Demon God Li Shi's expression to change. "You dare?" Demon god Li Shi had no confidence at all. Lin Feng looked up at him. The latter suppressed his anger and said, "Do it. Just you wait. My brother will avenge me." Demon god Li Shi shouted violently. There was still a trace of luck in his eyes, and he was hysterical. "You're the first." Lin Feng raised his blade, and the calamity drew a perfect arc, directly beheading demon god Li Shi. Wu Di Qinquan Ring emitted a huge aura, endless universe, and then demon god Li Shi's body was shattered into pieces and swallowed. Don't worry. Soon, Qi Wuming will come to accompany you. Lin Feng looked at demon god Li Shi's decapitated head, his eyes filled with unwillingness and fear as he stepped down. Kacha! The chaotic airflow disappeared, and the dense mist dispersed. The images of the secret realms disappeared like a dream. In the void, the huge body of Bai was hovering. The surrounding disciples looked at Lin Feng in awe and admiration. This was the 32nd brother, who was already a legend in the saint remains. Thank you, Lin Feng. En's voice sounded. Although it was still old and had a trace of indescribable sorrow, there seemed to be a lot less burden in his voice. 1 billion years. 1 billion years of waiting. How long was that? It's what I should do. Lin Feng smiled at En, and then nodded to the other disciples. Don't be sad for too long. And the past is the past, and we've only taken half of the revenge. There's still mad King Qi Wuming. And said in a low voice. He's in the Xing Feng Star sector, and it's harder to catch him than demon god Li Shi. Lin Feng said. The Xing Feng Star sector. En's voice was low, and he seemed to know a little. Are you sure, Lin Feng? Of course. Lin Feng smiled. 100%. Wait for my good news, and then Lin Feng turned and left. There was no need to say more, and needed some time to calm down. In the vast space, as Lin Feng left, sighs sounded. The disciples who didn't dare to say anything before were so excited that their faces turned red. Wow, is this the legendary 32nd senior brother? So handsome. He's too powerful. Did you guys see that slash just now? That devil was so weak in front of our 32nd senior brother. Needless to say, 32nd brother is the pride of our branch. Now, he's even stronger than 8th brother. He took revenge for teacher. An unusual light flashed in An's eyes. He had always placed his hopes on his 8th brother, but he didn't expect Lin Feng to do what his 8th brother couldn't do in 100 million years in such a short time. Now, Lin Feng was so strong that An couldn't see through him. Master, thanks to the blessings of your spirit in heaven, our lineage has produced an amazing disciple. Chapter 2387. Yun Xian Universe Country, Hull Clan. How could this be? Father is a strong man close to the peak of the sky god level, and he had so many elite clansmen with him. There's no way 10 excellent spaceships would be wiped out. Something must have happened. The Hull Clan was a large clan in Yun Xian Universe Country. It had many branches and leaves, and it had a huge influence in Helong Star region. As the eldest son, Wang Yuelong was pacing around, deep in thought. He looked worried. His father, Wang Dingquan, was dead. The elites of the clan had also suffered heavy casualties. As the heir of the clan, the pressure on his shoulders suddenly became heavy. The competition in Helong Star region was very intense. There were open fights, secret fights, annexations, assassinations, and all kinds of methods. Every power was desperately trying to climb up. I have to hide the news of father's death, or else it'll be troublesome. Wang Yuelong thought to himself. Suddenly, there was a lot of noise outside, and it made Wang Yuelong, who was already restless, even angrier. He frowned. What's with the noise? Wang Yuelong shouted angrily. Suddenly, a group of soldiers in uniform armor rushed in from the main door. The clanging sound of metal clashing rang in the palace. The group of soldiers lined up neatly, expressionless. The leader was clad in golden armor, leading dozens of elite guards as he strode in from the middle. Such a scene instantly caused Wang Yuelong to be stunned on the spot. What happened? Men, capture Wang Yuelong. The golden armor commander shouted. Suddenly, dozens of elite guards rushed out like dragons and captured Wang Yuelong. Wang Yuelong was already stunned. What a joke! This was the army of the Star region. How could he resist? What happened, Commander Mao? Wang Yuelong opened his eyes wide. The golden armor commander didn't even look at Wang Yuelong and shouted, "The whole clan has violated the laws of the universe country. Under the orders of the Star region leader, From today on, all related people will be executed, and all property will be handed to the treasury. Boom! As if struck by lightning, Wang Yuelong was completely stunned. He didn't know what was going on. His father had just died, and now there was such bad news. Even the Commander Mao, who usually drank and chatted with him, was now like a stranger, drawing a clear line with him. If you want to blame someone, blame your dead father. Commander Mao's voice entered Wang Bailong's ears. He has offended someone you Hull cannot afford to offend. Wang Yuelong's heart was trembling with fear. At this moment, he was completely out of his wits. It's the planet chief. It's not the planet chief who wants to exterminate your whole clan. Commander Mao's voice was heavy. It's the universe country leader. Bang! Wang Qinlong's eyes turned white, and he was completely disheartened. It was an order personally given by the universe country leader that meant the whole race was about to be wiped out. Father, who exactly did you offend? Wang Wenlong wailed in his heart, yet he was already powerless to do anything. Inside the palace of Yunxin Cosmic Nation, tens of thousands of members of the royal family were gathered in one hall. As monarch Yun Kun waited nervously and anxiously, it was as if they were greeting some great figure. Many ministers wiped the sweat from their foreheads, and many members of the royal family didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. Suddenly, at the entrance of the palace, the figure of a young human appeared. He was dressed in casual martial attire and had a calm expression. Whoosh! Monarch Yin Kuen's eyes immediately lit up. His 3 steps turned into 2 as he hurriedly stepped forward to welcome him. The surrounding ministers hurriedly bowed, and the royal family members were even more cautious. Everyone held their breaths. Ha ha, Brother Lin Feng, you're finally here. Monarch Yin Kuen was extremely attentive, immediately calling him brother. Even though he was a universe country leader, in terms of status and position, he couldn't compare to Lin Feng. Monarch, Lin Feng nodded slightly. I've already heard of your request. I've already arranged for all the residents of Wang Rong Star region to be relocated. Within 10 years, I'll be able to hand over the entire star region to you. Monarch Yin Kuen said warmly. Sorry to trouble you, Monarch. Lin Feng said. We're all family. Why are you being so formal? Monarch Yin Kuen couldn't stop smiling. You're from Yunxin Universe Country. It's rare that you still care about the universe country and want to leave a root here. I'm more than happy. Lin Feng smiled and took out 1,000 universe crystals, handing it to Monarch Yun Kuen. I don't know how much Wang Rong Star region is worth. Is this enough? No. I can't accept this. Monarch Yun Kuen quickly declined. Just accept it, Monarch. Lin Feng directly stuffed the universe crystals into Monarch Yun Kuen's hands. Friendship is friendship. Numbers are numbers. It's better to be clear. This. Monarch Yun Kuen's face turned bitter. What did he need money for? He'd rather Lin Feng remember his kindness and get a favor from a future night. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave, Monarch. Lin Feng said. Then Wang Rong Star region. Monarch Yun Kuen said. Lin Feng said, I haven't thought of developing anything yet. I'll have to trouble Monarch to temporarily guard it and prohibit any warriors from entering. Oh, okay. Monarch Yin Kuen replied. Do you have any other requests? Lin Feng shook his head. He didn't have the ambition and time to manage a star region. However, he could temporarily lock it down so that no one would have any ideas about the super black hole. As for what would happen after that, he'd talk about it later. Lin Feng will remember your kindness. If you need help in the future, Lin Feng will do his best to help. Lin Feng's voice made the slightly disappointed Monarch Yun Kuen's eyes light up. He nodded. Good. At this time, Lin Feng had already turned into a shadow and disappeared without a trace. Monarch Yun Kuen didn't care. He smiled until his eyes narrowed. A special genius like Lin Feng was naturally eccentric and casual. It was already commendable that he could make such a promise. In Yunxin Cosmic Nation, Lin Feng didn't have many friends. However, Qidadong was definitely one of them. There was no distinction in making friends. That day, Qidadong didn't mind Lin Feng's background and helped Lin Feng without hesitation. It was easy to add flowers to brocade, but difficult to provide timely help. Lin Feng remembered this kindness. Now that he had the ability, he would naturally help Qi Datong. This, Brother Lin, this is too valuable. Qi Datong looked at the treasure in front of him, and his eyes widened. Take it, big brother Qi. Isn't this your wish all along? Lin Feng smiled at Qi Datong. He couldn't give Qi Datong much, just some treasures and universe crystals. It couldn't change his talent. However, he believed that this would greatly increase Qi Datong's strength and allow him to enter the Steelbone Universe Ship Company's military department. After all, the requirements for an internal promotion weren't that harsh. This was Qi Datong's biggest wish. Keep it, old Qi. Wu Sanjian smiled and said, These are nothing to Brother Lin. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Qi Datong blushed, but still took it. Then old Qi, will be thick-skinned this time. Drinking wine? What's there to be thick-skinned about? Like a woman. Wu Sanjian picked up the wine jug and drank. You're the one who's like a woman. Qi Datong's eyes widened. He grabbed the jug and poured it into his mouth. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He enjoyed this peaceful and comfortable atmosphere as he raised his cup and drank. Chapter 2388. Xingfeng Astral World, Royal Star Garden. It was a luxurious garden building with rare flowers and plants from various galaxies. This was the residence of the prince, Miao Yu. Yuan Shiyu's current status was not ordinary. He was recruited by the 7th Mercenary Alliance as a level 1 genius. His future was limitless. Wild King Qi Wuming found him. Yuan Shiyu quickly found the information on Wild King Qi Wuming and listed it out in great detail. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. As a higher god lord, Wild King Qi Wuming had a high status in Xingfeng Astral World. After countless eras of hard work, relying on his extraordinary strength and ruthless methods, he had already taken root in Xingfeng Astral World. If Yuan Shiyu was not a prince, he would not have the authority to look at Wild King Qi Wuming's information. This guy is very cunning. Yuan Shiyu sighed, taking one step at a time. It was not easy for him to get to where he is now. Lin Feng said, to be able to grow from such a weak strength to a higher god lord, he is indeed a formidable person. Other experts are often fooled by his nickname. Actually, his arrogance is just a facade. He is outwardly arrogant, but not inwardly arrogant. This is the person Brother Lin is looking for? Yuan Shiyu asked. Lin Feng nodded. Brother Yuan Shiyu, can you confirm his location? Yuan Shiyu said, it will be difficult. A cautious expert like him would not easily reveal himself. He is definitely a crafty rabbit with many burrows. If Brother Lin acts rashly, you might alert him. Lin Feng said, Brother Yuan Shiyu, do you have any good suggestions? Yuan Shiyu said, how about this? I do not know him. If I personally invite him, it will seem strange. Let's start with King Qi Yu, who is familiar with him. Lin Feng nodded. There seems to be a little secret between the two. Yuan Shiyu laughed. That is normal. It is mutually beneficial. We usually turn a blind eye to things in the dark. King Qi Yu and Qi Wuming have worked together for hundreds of millions of years. Their relationship should be quite strong. Leave this to me, Brother Lin. Wait for my good news. All right. Lin Feng did not decline. Greedy Wolf Universe, Secret Region, center of the desert. Under the scorching yellow sun, an imposing and arrogant figure was reflected. The dark Qilin bloodline on his arm was incomparably clear. He opened his bloody mouth as if he wanted to devour everything. Mad King, lifeless Qi. Why is Emperor Bo, you holding a banquet for me? Qi Wuming frowned in confusion. His cooperation with the Bayou Monarch was limited to the underground world. It was strange for the Bayou Monarch to invite him. What is it about me? Or does that old Bayou have some kind of plan? Lifeless Qi hesitated. After all, he and the king of Bayou country were old acquaintances. They had worked together for a long time and more or less knew each other's weaknesses and information. He wants to harm me, but he won't be able to escape. That old guy Bayou shouldn't be that stupid. However, it's still better to guard against him. Let's send my clone. A crafty rabbit has 3 burrows, but Qi Wuming has his own life-saving trump card. His clone was almost identical to his main body, but it only had less than 30% of his main body's power. Even so, it was still stronger than an ordinary mid-level divine lord, and it would not have any problem dealing with a mere banquet. Even if it was a banquet at Hongmen. Luandang Universe Nation was a huge universe nation. Its surface area alone was 10,000 times larger than Yun Exine Universe Nation. The number of great beings in the universe nation was many times greater. Lower godly lords and intermediate godly lords were everywhere. There were even many upper godly lords. Bayou Country Emperor himself was an upper-level divine lord. This time, he had invited all the important people to the banquet, and the surrounding universe country leaders had all come to celebrate. It was very lively. Long time no see, Bayou. Lifeless Chi's appearance caused a commotion among the surrounding great beings. He was unfamiliar, but his aura was thick, and his upper-level divine lord aura suppressed the other great beings around him. "Haha, you're here, Mad King." Bayou Country Emperor laughed and went to welcome him, but his smile was stiff. Shua. Lifeless Chi's expression changed. He had spent hundreds of millions of years with the master of Bayou Country. His understanding of the master of Bayou Country was even greater than that of his wife. A single expression from the master of Bayou Country told him everything. However, it was too late to react. Blood filled the sky and turned into a long river. As the blood demon river was used, Lin Feng suddenly appeared in front of him and blocked all the energy in the surrounding space. Under the domain, Lifeless Chi could not escape through space. "Who are you?" Lifeless Chi looked coldly at Lin Feng. He had guessed that this was a trap, but he did not know the whole story. "I'm True Dragon Emperor's disciple." Lin Feng did not hide it. In his opinion, Lifeless Chi had no chance of survival under the Blood Demon River. True Dragon Emperor? Lifeless Chi was stunned. He searched through his memories and seemed to have forgotten something. "Looks like you've been doing evil for too long," Lin Feng said. "It's been so long that I've forgotten True Dragon Emperor. But don't worry, Li Shi will tell you everything when you go to hell." Li Shi? Lifeless Chi suddenly understood and laughed coldly. "I was wondering who it was. So you're that idiot True Dragon's disciple. You don't think you can trap me with just the power of a peak heavenly god, do you? So what if you have better treasures? The difference in strength between you and me is like the difference between heaven and earth. I'm more than enough to kill you here." Lifeless Chi was extremely arrogant. As he roared, the two cheilants on his arms spread across his entire body, the sound of bones cracking. His body suddenly became huge and strong, and his aura soared. But swish! The Calamity Warblade's inscriptions peeled off, and Lin Feng raised his hand to attack. Even someone as strong as Sikong Wushuang would find it difficult to resist 3 inscriptions, let alone Lifeless Chi, who was just a high-level divine lord and a clone. Bang! 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 Soon, Lin Feng suppressed Chi Wuming and defeated him in an instant. Ha ha ha! Lifeless Chi was about to die, but he was still arrogant. "Kill me. That old True Dragon won't come back to life if you kill me. I've lived for so long, and I'm tired of it. Kill me. Hurry up and kill me." Lin Feng looked at Lifeless Chi and said indifferently, "I know what you're thinking. This is just your clone, right?" Lifeless Chi sneered. So what if it is? So what if it isn't?" Lin Feng said, "It really doesn't matter. Anyway, whether it's your real body or your clone, you won't be able to escape today." Lifeless Chi sneered. "My real body is far away in the universe secret realm. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me." Lin Feng smiled faintly. Instantly, his eyes shone brightly as he released his powerful soul power. Lifeless Chi's eyes widened in shock. "Soul Master? Impossible. How can you know soul attacks?" "Ha ha, don't scare me. Who can a mere peak heavenly god's soul attack kill?" No, bang. Lin Feng used a mind arrow, and Lifeless Chi, who was already at the end of his rope, was killed by Lifeless Chi. Indeed, killing a clone wouldn't kill the real body, but whether it was the real body or the clone, their souls were connected. "Master, I've avenged you. You can rest in peace in the underworld." Lin Feng looked at Lifeless Chi's body on the ground and raised his calamity warblade, which turned into ashes. Chapter 2389. 7th Mercenary Alliance, Xing Feng Division. Have you made your decision? Bai Fu Knight looked at Lin Feng and laughed. Yes, Lord Bai Fu. Lin Feng nodded. Everything is settled. I have nothing to worry about for now. I can enter the Hidden Saint training camp and improve my strength. If one wasn't strong enough, they would only be bullied. And when one had enough strength, one didn't need to cater to anyone. People with high positions like Yin Xian Universe Nations King Yin Kuan and the big shots of the Xing Feng Astral World would cater to you. This was the importance of strength. With strength, status, reputation, power, everything would follow. Lin Feng saw it clearly. Newcomers had 3 choices. One was to continue training in the Xing Feng Astral World. Although it was free and easy, the training speed was the slowest. Although they had the resources of the 7th Mercenary Alliance, it wasn't the best choice. To improve quickly, one had to enter the Heaven Bright secret area and receive the teachings of night, or enter the Hidden Saint training camp and start the hellish training. Even without the time limit of the Milky Way super black hole, to him, the Hidden Saint training camp was still his first choice. Because he liked to compete, he enjoyed challenges. Not bad. Bai Fu Knight smiled and looked at Lin Feng. Actually, there are many special geniuses that we knights didn't recruit directly, including Sikong Wushuang, who was recruited by the Time Virtual Company. Only you are an exception. Do you know why? Lin Feng shook his head. Venerable Bai Fu chuckled and said, What I like about you is your indomitable spirit. You have the courage to overcome all obstacles, and you are not afraid of strong enemies. This is what many geniuses lack. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. So it's like this, I was wondering what was so special about me. Bai Fu Knight laughed. Don't belittle yourself. These seemingly useless things are far more important than talent. When you stand in my position in the future, you will naturally know. Practitioners, when they are weak, they compete for resources when they grow. It's talent. When they become strong, it's their nature. And you have an extremely strong nature. Lin Feng nodded. He already had a lot of thoughts on this point. With enough resources in the early stages, it was enough to crush those martial artists who were proud of their talent. But in the middle stages, relying only on resources would not work, especially when everyone was in the same giant force. At this time, talent would determine your upper limit. However, he had yet to come into contact with the later stages. However, Venerable Bai Fu had his own reasons for saying so. Maintain your hunger and thirst. Maintain your heart. Maintain your challenging spirit. Go. Venerable Bai Fu chuckled and said, Let the entire hidden revered training camp know that our Xing Feng astral boundary has produced an extraordinary genius. Go and intimidate them. Lin Feng bowed. Yes, Lord Bai Fu. Xing Feng branch, supreme treasury. Equipped with top-level intelligence, it was a huge treasure trove. Each of them was as big as a star. Each of the heavenly Tao treasures emitted different auras and energies. It was too much for the eyes to take in. The number of treasures made people gasp in amazement. This was the wealth of one of the 5 magnates, the 7th Mercenary Alliance. This is the top-level heavenly Tao treasure armory. Venerable Nan Chiyu said with a smile. She was a petite woman who looked like a painting in Jiangnan. She gave people a gentle and graceful feeling. She was the person in charge of the treasure trove. Since Lin Feng wanted to choose treasures, Venerable Nan Chiyu was naturally in charge. As a special grade genius, Lin Feng had great authority. He could choose a top-level Heavenly Tao treasure weapon and a top-level Heavenly Tao treasure battle armor. As for top-level Heavenly Tao treasures, he could choose freely. Lin Feng's highest-level Heavenly Tao treasure Phantom Countercurrent, I was only a top-level Heavenly Tao treasure. He mainly used various mid-level Heavenly Tao treasures. He did not have a single top-level Heavenly Tao treasure. Now he could choose a top-level Heavenly Tao treasure directly. It was indeed shocking. Most of the Venerables used top-level Heavenly Tao treasures. Venerable Nan Chiyu smiled and said, Heavenly Tao treasures represent the crystallization of craftsmanship and skills. With suitable materials, they could be mass-produced. Oh, although Lin Feng was a little surprised, he was not surprised. With the 7th Mercenary Alliance's ability and means, it was reasonable for them to mass-produce heavenly Dao treasures. Venerable Nan Qiu continued. However, it is easy to create low-level and mid-level heavenly Dao treasures. It is much more difficult to create high-level heavenly Dao treasures. It is even more difficult to create top-level heavenly Dao treasures. As for top-level heavenly Dao treasures, it is extremely difficult. In our Xing Feng branch, there is only one master who can create top-level heavenly Dao treasures. Lin Feng nodded. If top-level heavenly Dao treasures were so easy to create, they would have been everywhere long ago. Sir Nan Qiu, is the Chaos Ultimate Treasure above top-level heavenly Dao treasures? Lin Feng was not ashamed to ask. Venerable Nan Qiu, who was in charge of the treasure trove, was very knowledgeable. His understanding of treasures was definitely one of the best in the Xing Feng branch. Such a textbook opportunity was not to be missed. Master Nan Qiu said with a smile, "No, there's another level above the pinnacle treasure of Heavenly Path, which is called the Ultimate Treasure of Heavenly Path. It's much rarer than the pinnacle treasure of Heavenly Path, and even fewer than the Chaos Treasure. Only a small portion of ultimate heavenly Dao treasures exist in the universe's secret realms. Most ultimate heavenly Dao paragon treasures are refined by master artificers through blood, sweat, and tears. Their essence, energy, and spirit, the perfect combination of the right time, the right place, and the right people, only then will there be a small chance of success. The primal chaos chi descends from the heavens, transforming it into an ultimate heavenly Dao paragon treasure. Because it's rarer than the chaos ultimate treasures, it's rare even among the supremacies. Compared to the chaos ultimate treasures, the ultimate treasures of heavenly Dao are much easier to master because they're refined. They're also much more convenient. Hence, they're highly favored by the supremacies. Ultimate heavenly Dao treasures. Its power was not inferior to ordinary chaos ultimate treasures. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. Does our 7th Mercenary Alliance have any? Of course. Venerable Nan Qiu smiled and said, "It can be exchanged, but the exchange price is quite high." Lin Feng smiled bitterly. "I'm afraid even venerables can't afford it." Venerable Nan Qiu smiled and said, "It's not that we can't afford it, but it's not worth it. After all, the cost of exchanging for an ultimate heavenly Dao treasure is enough to exchange for a few ordinary chaos ultimate treasures. Moreover, ordinary venerables won't exchange for it. Everyone agrees that it is an excellent gift for the 7th Mercenary Alliance's true almighty super geniuses." Gift. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Venerable Nan Qiu smiled and said, "Yes, a gift. Lin Feng, if you can meet the training camp's highest requirements and graduate with the indisputable first place, then it will be your gift." Chapter 2390. Hidden Honorable Training Camp. The possibility of obtaining an ultimate heavenly law treasure. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Although he already had 2 treasures of the chaos, one was the Great Wall, and the other was the myriad origin mustard stone, no one would complain about having too many treasures of the chaos. Moreover, an ultimate heavenly law treasure was different from chaos treasure. An ultimate heavenly law treasure was a treasure that could be used at the divine master level, but had the power of an ordinary chaos treasure. Now that he had such an opportunity, how could he miss it? It seems that I made the right decision to enter the hidden honorable training camp. Lin Feng smiled. Nan Qiu's beautiful eyes were like flowers as he glared at Lin Feng. "I'm just giving you a small goal. Don't be too confident." The hidden honorable training camp gathers 29,999 geniuses from the astral realms. Many special geniuses didn't enter the Heaven Bright secret realm and joined the hidden honorable training camp for the ultimate heavenly law treasure. Lin Feng nodded. 29,999 astral realms. How many geniuses were there? He wasn't the real number 1 in the Xing Feng astral realm. After all, he was only from the 5th void realm. With his current battle strength, he was even inferior to the grade 1 genius, Little Fox, Ouyang Yi. She was from the 6th Void Realm, and her battle strength was at the peak of the Heavenly God Realm. As for his good friend, Prince Jiyu, he was a Grade 1 genius from the 7th Void Realm, and his battle strength was at the peak of the Heavenly God Realm. However, this was what made it interesting. If there's no room for improvement, what's the point of entering the hidden honorable training camp? Lin Feng smiled. Knight Nanqiu looked at Lin Feng with a smile. Bai Fu is right. You were born to be a member of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. You're fond of fighting and aren't afraid of challenges. The experts of the 7th Mercenary Alliance should be like this, transforming in battle and baptizing in blood. Lin Feng bowed. Thank you for your teachings. Knight Nanqiu smiled. Like Bai Fu, I also think highly of you. That day, he fought with me to recruit you. If there's a chance in the future, let's explore the universe secret realm together. Lin Feng nodded. Yes, Lord Nanqiu. Come, choose a weapon. Your current saber, Calamity, although all 3 levels have been unlocked, and it can be considered a rather impressive spatial weapon among mid-level heavenly Dao Cardinal treasures. Its grade is too low. There is no room for improvement. A good weapon is of utmost importance to us human experts. A pinnacle heavenly Dao Cardinal treasure weapon can accompany you for a very long time. In the future, even an ultimate heavenly Dao Cardinal treasure weapon will not be able to replace it. This is because a weapon has a spirit. It requires a long period of battle to connect with its master's heart. Therefore, every time you change your weapon, it will have a huge impact on a warrior. Honorable Nanqiu explained. Lin Feng listened attentively. Indeed, the change of weapons would have a certain impact on one's strength and the creation of saber techniques. This was something that he had personally experienced when he was cultivating and fighting. Lin Feng, do you have a weapon that you like? Venerable Nanqiu asked. Lin Feng shook his head. Venerable Nanqiu said, What type do you need? By the way, I remember that you're cultivating the 9 heavens of light and darkness? Lin Feng nodded. He had used all his strength in the survival challenge, so he could not hide it from the 7th Mercenary Alliance. The 9 heavens of light and darkness is the top all creation's heavenly Dao. It's extremely difficult to cultivate. Venerable Nanqiu shook his head gently. Not only that, it's also difficult to find a suitable weapon. There are non-elemental treasures of chaos, but all heavenly Dao Cardinal treasures have engravings and the power of laws. Whether it's the light attribute or the dark attribute, it's actually difficult for you to exert all your strength. Venerable Nanqiu was indeed knowledgeable. It was one thing for him to cultivate, but it was a joke to ask a treasure refining master to refine a heavenly Dao Cardinal treasure weapon with the light and dark attributes. It would be strange if it did not explode. Even if it could be refined, the quality would only be ordinary. Although for him now, whether it was a light attribute or a dark attribute weapon, it could exert a good effect. However, good and perfect were 2 different things. Actually, a spatial type will do. Lin Feng smiled. He had the black vortex, and the saber calamity was of the spatial type. It could perfectly accommodate the 9 heavens of light and darkness. After a pause, Lin Feng muttered, a time type will do. Time? Venerable Nanqiu blinked her beautiful eyes. Lin Feng, you're also cultivating the heavenly Dao of time? I know a little. Lin Feng nodded. Venerable Nanqiu's beautiful eyes flickered. She stared at Lin Feng and was slightly surprised. This is not in the information. I always thought that Lin Feng is good at all creations of light and darkness and heavenly Dao of space. Lin Feng smiled. In fact, his attainments in time were not high before. However, during the last tens of thousands of years of meditation in the survival challenge, his comprehension of the heavenly Dao of time improved rapidly. Although his comprehension of the heavenly Dao of time was not as good as that of the heavenly Dao of space, it was gradually getting better. Venerable Nanqiu nodded gently and frowned slightly. If that's the case, there is a saber that may be suitable for you. A time type? Lin Feng was curious. Venerable Nanqiu shook her head and looked at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes. A time type? Whoosh, whoosh. Lin Feng and venerable Nan Qiu arrived by teleporting. In front of them was a boundless void filled with endless emptiness and chaos. A white saber, shining with a crystal-like luster, stood proudly in the void, like a peerless emperor. The saber's hilt was slender, and the saber's arc was perfect. The entire saber emitted an unparalleled magical power. Good saber. Lin Feng was deeply attracted at first sight. The feeling this saber gave him was much deeper than the saber calamity. Looking at this saber was like looking at a future comrade. The black vortex spun rapidly. Ding! Ding! The space shook, and the Emperor's saber let out a clanking sound. The surrounding space and time rippled. Oh! Venerable Nan Qiu smiled. Seems like I guessed right. The saber or D-Hidden seems to have acknowledged you. Lin Feng stared at the emperor-like saber in front of him and said softly, D-Hidden. There were as many as 7 runes engraved on the saber's body. It was extremely shocking and locked the power of D-Hidden like a chain. Even so, the aura it emitted still made people shudder and feel deep respect for it. A peak Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure Saber. D-Hidden is very rare, even among the peak Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure weapons. Venerable Nan Qiu said slowly, it's mainly because it's a space and time type. Therefore, there are very few warriors who can unleash its power. Lin Feng nodded. There were indeed very few people who cultivated both the space Heavenly Tao and time Heavenly Tao. This was because one only needed to cultivate one of them to become a space supremacy or a time supremacy. Moreover, it was very rare to have talent in both Heavenly Tao. Chapter 2391. Moreover, Di Ying has a very strong, murderous aura. The one who refined Di Ying was a Grandmaster artifact refiner. He didn't just refine an ultimate heavenly law treasure weapon. Honorable Nan Qiu said, he chose the best materials and the best refining location to refine the Emperor's concealment. He even gave the Emperor's concealment an extremely powerful spirit of slaughter. Unfortunately, when he succeeded in refining the Emperor's concealment, he did not receive the recognition of the Heavenly Tao and the Primal Chaos Chi. Lin Feng nodded. All ultimate heavenly law treasures were the same before the murderous aura descended. They were all pinnacle heavenly law treasures. But even so, Di Ying is the masterpiece of this Grandmaster artifact refiner. Due to its high foundation and the fusion of space and time, the materials are exquisite and the refinement is flawless. Even among the pinnacle heavenly law treasures, there are only a few that are better than it. It's comparable to an ordinary ultimate heavenly law treasure, especially the murderous aura that Di Ying possesses. As long as it can be controlled, it will be an indestructible blade, allowing Di Ying to unleash 120% of its power in battle. How about it? Are you interested? Supremacy, Nan Qiu looked at Lin Feng with a smile. Of course. Lin Feng smiled and stepped forward without hesitation. He stared at War Saber Di Ying and felt its monstrous, murderous aura. A blood-red light flashed in his eyes. He was best at the Dark Demon Heavenly Law. Murderous aura? Not only did he have it, but it was also much stronger than Di Ying's. Huh! Lin Feng held the war blade, Emperor's concealment, and in an instant, it was as if a dragon had soared into the sky. Emperor's concealment let out a resounding hum, and an enormous murderous aura was displayed almost instantly, causing the entire space to tremble. Pa! Lalala, 2 inscriptions were activated, and War Saber Di Ying's power suddenly reached a peak. Oh! Supremacy, Nan Qiu's beautiful eyes moved. Activating the inscriptions yourself is interesting. Di Ying's murderous aura is really strong. It seems that it has been suppressed for too long. Whoosh! Countless messages flooded into Lin Feng's mind, especially the seals of the first 2 inscriptions. They were deeply imprinted in his mind and could not be erased. Shadows appeared in his mind, flashing with the secrets of the first 2 inscriptions. Almost instantly, Lin Feng had grasped more than half of them. 7 inscriptions. Compared to the War Saber Calamity, there were 4 more. From shallow to deep, layer by layer. Just the activation of these two engraved seals, relying on the power of the peak-level heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure itself, had already surpassed the full power of the War Saber Calamity. This is it. Lin Feng wielded the War Saber, Emperor Concealment, and swung the saber. The heavenly law of time and space perfectly fused together. Monstrous power gushed out from the black vortex as he used the fourth move of the Milky Way saber technique, Falling Mountain Crumble. Its power was more than 10 times stronger than the one that defeated Sikong Wushuang that day. Supremacy, Nan Qiu nodded with a smile. This saber move has already reached the level of a peak divine master. As the person in charge of the Supreme Treasure Vault, she was happiest to be able to find the most suitable owner for each of these supreme treasures. The War Saber, Emperor Concealment, and Lin Feng were a match made in heaven. The saber and the man were extremely perfect. Supremacy, Nan Qiu stood quietly at the side and watched Lin Feng use the War Saber. Emperor Concealment's murderous aura spread out and enveloped Lin Feng. It was as if there was a pair of invisible hands controlling Emperor Concealment, making the War Saber extremely obedient. Supremacy, Nan Qiu had a rough idea. Extremely strong willpower, perfect murderous control, and a pure heart. Lin Feng is indeed the most suitable for the War Saber, Emperor Concealment. I believe there will be a huge commotion in the hidden Supremacy training camp soon. Supremacy, Nan Qiu smiled as she looked at Lin Feng. It was as if she could see the rise of a future supremacy in the Xingfeng branch, just like the current Kuei Yi, Huangzun, who was very famous. After choosing the War Saber, Supremacy Nan Qiu immediately brought Lin Feng to choose another pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure, Perished Barbarian Armor. This was a mid-tier armor among the pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasures for defense. However, compared to the pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasures, it was naturally much stronger. Purely in terms of defense, the Earth and Light elemental armors have a higher defense. The Space elemental armors have a slight difference in defense, but the armor's agility is higher, and its ability to resist attacks from the Space and Time elemental laws is much stronger. It's more comprehensive. Moreover, the Perished Barbarian Armor has another characteristic. It's refined with a precious metal that can heal itself. Perished Barbarian King's Stone Heart. No matter how badly damaged it is, as long as its core isn't damaged, it will be able to heal itself. I believe this will be a very suitable armor for you. Lin Feng nodded as he listened to Supremacy Nan Qiu's introduction. Armor with high defense was suitable for cultivators who didn't fight often and relied on defense. For cultivators like him who liked to challenge and take risks, the Perished Barbarian Armor was indeed very suitable. Especially in a universe secret territory, where space and time were dangerous places, the armor's damage rate would be relatively high. The Perished Barbarian Armor was very suitable. He didn't rely on defense that much. Compared to the Time elemental armor, the Space elemental armor's defensive function was slightly stronger. I'll take this, Lord Nan Qiu. Lin Feng smiled as he accepted the Perished Barbarian Armor. There were so many pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure armors, but he actually didn't know which one was the most suitable for him. Supremacy Nan Qiu was very experienced, so letting her make the decision might be the right thing to do. After all, she had helped him choose the War Saber, Di-In, previously. Di-In was very suitable for him. He believed that with Supremacy Nan Qiu's judgment, this Perished Barbarian Armor would definitely be a good helper. He continued to choose the pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasures. Supremacy Nan Qiu was very professional. According to Lin Feng's own ability and his mastery of the space and time heavenly Tao, she carefully selected the pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasures and matched them perfectly. Treasures are valued for quality, not quantity. Although special class geniuses have the right to choose countless pinnacle heavenly Tao Supreme Treasures, there's no need to be greedy. Mastering one heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure to the extreme is more important than matching 10 heavenly Tao Supreme Treasures. Supremacy, Nan Qiu said earnestly. Moreover, The most important thing for a cultivator is their own cultivation. It's not a good thing to rely too much on treasures. Lin Feng nodded. Lin Feng will bear that in mind. Go. If you need them in the future, it won't be too late to choose them. Supremacy, Nan Qiyu said with a smile. However, I believe that these 5 pinnacle heavenly Dao supreme treasures are enough for you. With your ability, the treasures you obtain in the future will only be better. Do your best and challenge the hidden supremacy training camp. Let the other 29998 astral realms see how strong our Xing Feng astral realms special class geniuses are. I believe that with your ability, you will definitely be able to make a name for yourself in the hidden supremacy training camp and amaze the world. Lin Feng bowed. Lin Feng will definitely not disappoint supremacy.